Hello,
Hi, my name's Waldo.
I'm Thomas.
Hi, Thomas. Uh, we talk about politics
All the time.
all the time, all day, every day, nonstop. And we got chat here, and I got
Even though we only
some.
stream for 2 hours on the weekend.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it a lot.
That's true. You gotta have a lot of thought about it for reasoned debate. You know?
You got to think about these things. You can't just go off the cuff. Yeah, I agree. Um, and then what we do is you and I talk about the politics. We do it live. We do raw, and then I chop it up and turn it into little videos and put it on the YouTube channel. Um, which got 200 views on that Kid Rock video from last week.
Up and coming.
Yeah,
And have you seen the subscriber count? 17.
17.
Can you
We're
believe it?
we're almost up to 20. It'll be soon.
You're gonna need a new what's it called? The play button.
I'll 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 draw one up. Yeah, I didn't draw one
Cross
up
out
for
the 10
10.
and write 20.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. But that one got a lot of attention for us. 200 views is a lot. So, programming note: I'm going to change the entire channel around to just drama all day, every day.
I mean, it works for the other streamers.
Right,
You
just
know,
drama.
I still can't get Mr. Girl off of my fucking recommended YouTube videos.
We're just drama now. Sorry, Kyle. From now on, we're just finding famous people, complaining about the things that they've said. We're going to find leftist people or leftish people and liberals who have said a marginally bad thing on Twitter, and we're going to cancel them. We're going to follow them. We're going to hound them. We're going to just make sure that they know that the thing they said is not very nice, and we're going to find lots of offense at like everything. It's going to be a great time.
Gosh, you're gonna have to cancel me if we go this route. God damn it.
Well, I know, and then I know. Hey, let's not go that route. How about that? Let's just do what we do.
Agreed.
Uh, that was a joke. We're not gonna do lots of drama. Um, I looked at the suggestion box. Yes, Kyle, thank you.
The one that never gets opened.
It was just above a paper shredder. All the suggestions come in and they just fall into the shredder. But I caught one
It's,
and it said,
it's like that Simpsons meme. The printer prints out the paper and it falls right out of the printer into a shredder. Yeah.
"Yeah, that is what we do here sometimes." So, um, we will just jump right in. Anything to say before we get started?
Nope.
All right, we are going to start, I guess, with let me let me do my main screen and then choose the window capture will be here. There it is. It's like I know what I'm doing. Barely, slightly. Gender affirming care for adults is now basically banned in Missouri. The state's Attorney General Bailey announced an emergency regulation that erects enormous barriers to care for trans people of all ages. So no, it's not just the kids anymore. It's everybody.
Okay. And I read the article,
Mm-hmm.
and it basically says uh, you have to have a doctor's recommendation. You have to have like 3 years of gender dysphoria. You have to have a full psychiatric assessment, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to have a bunch of sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, doesn't make it impossible to get transition care. So the title of the article is
This one
alarming.
does. Well, you haven't gone down far enough. People seeking such care will have to be screened for autism and other pre-existing issues such as anxiety and depression and pre-existing conditions must have been treated and resolved. You have to resolve their autism first.
Okay.
That doesn't happen.
There are
You
people who are
can't.
autistic that believe that they're transgender, but they're actually not. And so I did end up looking into this a little bit after the last time we talked about this.
Uh-huh.
Um, a lot of autistic people will um, generally feel uncomfortable in their with their identity, regardless, uh, because they are autistic.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean that they are transgender, but some of them will move towards being transgender and then find that it's not right for them.
The
So
Attorney General of Missouri doesn't know any of these things. He is the wrong person to be making this decision.
that's fine. If
It
you, I
should
mean,
be a doctor thing.
if you disagree with who is making this decision, that's fine. I I get it, but I will say that at the very least, there are autistic people that um, could end up strongly regretting transitioning uh, when they do
I
or after they
don't
do.
doubt that such a thing exists, but that is a decision that the person needs to make with their doctor. Why is this conservative lawmaker getting in between patients and their doctors? They hate that. Conservatives have been screaming at me for years about Obamacare getting in between patients and their doctors, but they're
I get it.
more than
Hey,
happy. They're more
I
than
told
happy to
you.
do it here.
I
Yeah.
already told you. I think that anybody should be able to get whatever hormones and treatments and whatnot that they want after they're an
Yes, you
adult.
have. And I think that that is a good stance for you to have. If a person goes to the doctor and you are agreeing with it here that if they want to transition and the doctor thinks that it's a good plan and they come together, then they should. And you have said that in the past, and I
Yeah, do whatever you
appreciate that.
want. Like
That's freedom. I think you and I are on the side of freedom. You are suggesting a freedom-based solution, and the Attorney General of Missouri is doing an anti-freedom here.
that is true. I actually don't think that the laws are um, freedom enough. I think that, like I've said before, yes, we should allow people if they want to do steroids,
Hmm.
um, which is a large part of what you would call gender affirming care, right? If
Right. I mean,
a girl wants to
testosterone is a thing
transition
that.
into a boy,
Mhm.
you would give them testosterone. That's a steroid, right? Um,
There are. Uh, they are similar. Yes.
testosterone is it's a hormone, but it is legally defined as a steroid.
Okay.
Um, just like all the other ones. I mean, there's what trenbolone. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. There's the one that Arnold did. It starts with an A. Anabol.
Anabolic. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Anabol, Dianabol.
Sure.
All those. I mean, all of those should just be legal.
Yeah. If a
Um,
person wants to take HGH, human growth hormone, I want to say some famous streamers take it. Um, they would
Probably.
they would take. Well, he talks about it. I'm not going to mention it who, but because we're not a drama channel, remember?
Right,
Uh,
right, right, right.
but a human person who is not a part of an organized sport or anything like that takes this, does exercises, wants to be healthy. I accept it. That's fine. If I wanted to take testosterone as a 40-year-old man, I could get it online without even seeing a doctor, and that is
You could, but it would be illegal.
no. I go to the doctor and I get uh,
You just said without seeing a doctor.
yeah, you don't have to see them. You call them and you talk to them online, and then they prescribe it to you, and then they sell it to you, and then
Oh,
you buy it. I mean, without seeing a doctor. I meant in person, going there to see my doctor. I can get an online doctor, an online in quotation marks, online doctor to prescribe me testosterone in no time at all. There's
yeah,
ads
I need
for
to do
it.
that.
There's ads for it all over podcasts. If you ever listen to a podcast, you're going to get a commercial for um, your low T levels, and you can get prescriptions for this and that, and you don't even have to see a doctor. Just talk to someone online, and you literally do. You call them, you tell them, hey, I have these problems. If not, they'll ask you if you have those problems. Then you just say yes, and then they are like, okay, well, you should have testosterone, and then they write you the prescription for it, and then you buy it from the company who's selling testosterone. And I'm allowed to do that for gender affirming care. If I take a bunch of testosterone, I'm
Yeah,
affirming my gender, right?
sure.
Okay.
I'm down for it.
Okay, I'm on board for
Take
such a thing.
whatever you want.
Okay, I agree. Take whatever you want. You and I are on the freedom side. The Attorney General, cough cough, Republican of Missouri is not.
So I would encourage you
Hmm.
in this scenario to sort of try to see where they're coming from, right? Um, I don't agree with the end result, uh, but I think that transgenderism is relatively recent. We we don't have a lot of long-term data on this stuff. Um, we will in like maybe 20 years. Uh, I will say that while it is still relatively new and we have a lack of long-term data on it,
Hmm.
I think there is enough questionability to where this is their way of protecting people.
Hmm.
Um, the things that you do in transitioning, some of them are non-reversible. They're
Right.
permanent. They are forever. And if it turns out that you are not actually gender dysphoric and this was not the right treatment for you, there is no going back. Is this too far? Maybe. But I am not going to assign um, malice to this kind of a law when our data is so sparse.
Okay. I am. Numerous medical governing bodies, including the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association, the American Psychiatric Association, and the American Academy of Pediatrics have endorsed gender affirming care for minors as medically necessary. The
Source
doctors have
required.
said,
No link.
the
And
doctors
it's
have said,
Vice. First of all, it's fucking Vice, dude. If I linked you to Daily Mail, you would immediately call it out, right?
if they said something wrong, do you want me to look up American Medical Association and gender affirming care?
I just think that at the very least, if you're gonna make this statement in your news article,
Hmm.
then source it, please.
Okay.
Like,
I will
because
avoid
I
the
can't
rest of this.
validate what Vice is claiming here without going to the AMA and searching through their recommendations to find whatever it is they have to say about gender affirming care for minors,
Okay.
right? And maybe that's all correct. It could be.
Hmm.
Or maybe there are some substantial caveats. Why is it not sourced?
At this moment, because
I'll tell you what it looks like to me
uh-huh.
is it looks like this person, whoever wrote this, uh, and something,
Zolodezowski.
yeah, not gonna try to pronounce that one. Just thought of as many associations as she could, um, and just listed them all and said they all say that this is right.
Okay.
I don't think that she actually looked into the actual recommendation by any of these associations.
Okay. It seems to me like she's summarizing, but that's what news is it not? I mean, that's
It
what
is, but it's
you
assumed that you
summarize.
have done the work beforehand, and in
Okay.
this case, I think Vice is a rag.
Okay.
So I don't think she's done the work. I think she listed a bunch of associations
Hmm.
and uh, and just assumed that they all were on her side. or that there weren't major caveats, and if there are, then I would find them.
Okay. I might Google that later. Not today, but sometime during the week. AMA, gender affirming care for minors as medically necessary. And if they do say it's necessary, we'll go down both sides. If they don't say that, which is what you're suggesting or saying is a possibility, if they don't say that it's medically necessary, then then Vice is a rag and she's just making things up, which is bad. If she's correct, if she's saying that the AMA does suggest that it is medically necessary, this Attorney General is literally getting in between medical professionals and their patients.
Okay.
And why is he doing that? Because he thinks it's harmful? I think he just doesn't like them. I think he thinks they're icky and they're gross and they're weird and he doesn't like them and he doesn't want them in his state.
I mean, you can think that.
I'm attributing bigotry to it
Uh,
for sure. That's what I'm
I
doing. I'm not being sneaky about it. I'm saying that I think this guy's a bigot and he's doing it for those reasons.
I think it's generally an effort to protect people.
Okay.
It may be misguided, but in general, I definitely don't think we have enough information on this subject yet to comprehensively, you know, recommend things at this point. In this case, like I said, maybe it's a little too far.
hmm
It might be overly stringent.
And you would suggest that it's overly stringent because he's kind of taken away the freedom of these people.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, you do have the right to do what I think you should have the right to do whatever you want to your body,
hmm
right? Um, but it's I can't attribute malice to it.
Okay.
I don't think it's malicious what they're doing. I think it's an effort to protect people
Okay.
from themselves in this case, which I don't think people really need protection from themselves.
Okay. If yeah, people don't need protection from themselves. You don't think that's a thing the state ought to be doing. Uh,
Yeah.
if we all watch TikToks about people with small noses being the cutest and sexiest, and then we all go out and get nose jobs to have smaller noses, that's not a thing that the state should be limiting.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
I'd agree with that.
okay. All right. Let's see. That was the only trans news I found this week.
Thank God, by the way. Fuck.
Uh, well, I'm on Twitter now, so I have to be in on it. Uh, what is next? We've got Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas news. Billionaire Harlan Crow bought property from Clarence Thomas. This justice didn't disclose the deal. Now, last week we talked about him getting gifts. Well, possible gifts. Maybe they were just people. Just it might have been his buddy inviting him onto his boat. This is a step beyond that. Harlan
Yes, it
Crow
is.
bought that property. By law, Clarence Thomas must declare it. And he didn't.
Boy, oh boy. That one could be a sinker for him then, I
Uh,
think.
I think so too. Um, let's see.
The other
2000.
one's easy to at least
They're they're
defend against.
ethically a little bit here, a little bit there. Maybe it's just him inviting his friend on his boat. Maybe he just flew him out to do a fun thing, and there's a little bit of wiggle room there. It's not great ethically, but there's wiggle room. There's something to discuss there. Um, but this one, he just didn't do the thing
Yeah,
he was supposed to do.
this one's definitely not looking so good, I'll say.
His mother continues to live on that land. Justice Thomas's mother lives there, paying no rent. I know I don't think this. Uh, the purchase put Crow in an unusual position. He now owned the house where the justice's elderly mother was living. Soon after the sale was completed, contractors began work on tens of thousands of dollars of improvements on the 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, which looks out on orange trees. That's fine. Renovations include a carport, repaired roof, new fence, gates, according to city permits and blueprints. A federal disclosure law passed after Watergate requires justices and other officials to disclose the details of most real estate sales over $1,000. Thomas never disclosed his sale of the Savannah properties. This appears to be a violation of the law, 4 ethics law experts told ProPublica. So,
Yeah, he's fucked. If that's all true, he's fucked.
only, only if the other two branches do a check and balance on him.
They will.
And
The other two
I,
branches are run by the left.
not the House. I mean, the House is Republican House right now, right? We've got a
Well,
Republican
thinking
Speaker of
that
the House.
backwards.
No, the Speaker of the House
Oh, yeah,
is
yeah,
a
yeah. No,
Republican.
you're right. You're right. Yeah.
The Senate is what,
Senate's 50-50 down the
50-50.
line. Yeah,
The executive is Biden.
left. Yeah.
Um, I don't think anything comes of it. I think the people who complain about it will be people like me. People on the left are going to say, hey, this guy is broken the law. Are we going to do anything about it? And the Democrats are going to be like, we only got 50% of the Senate and we don't have the House. So one of the three branches will try to check and balance it, maybe, if they think that the second, being the legislative, will back them up, and they won't.
Okay. This is
I
where I will say that your Democrats need to do their job
Yes, I agree.
and push for things.
They
Unfortunately,
should.
you vote for people that do nothing.
I
Um,
don't have a choice. I those are my choices. Vote for the Democrat who does nothing, or vote for the Republican who does the wrong things. Those are my options. I can do nothing, or I can do the wrong thing. Uh,
I mean, I won't defend this.
mhm.
Uh, he,
Yeah, I didn't think you would. Yeah.
yeah, that's this is a little too much.
Mr. Groh said, my intention is to one day create a public museum at the Thomas home dedicated to the telling story of our nation's second black Supreme Court justice. I approached the Thomas family about my desire to maintain the historic site so future generations could learn about the inspiring life of one of our greatest Americans.
And also, how much did he buy it for?
133,000, I want to say. Yeah, 133 at
Oh,
the time in 2014, and then he did tens of thousands of dollars of improvements on it. And technically, he's letting the resident live there without paying any rent
that is
for
true.
since
Well, this
2014.
is
I mean, I guess you're allowed to let people live on your land for no rent, but it is kind of an odd thing, you know?
yeah. It shouldn't have been. It definitely should have been disclosed.
Hmm.
133,000 is less than the salary of a Supreme Court justice, I think, for a
Right,
year.
right.
So it's not even that much money. The improvements are where I would start questioning things. Like, if you are trying to do a historical museum type deal,
Hmm.
why would you make improvements to it if you're trying to show like what the life looked like for this person?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
So you're suggesting Harlan Crow is saying an untrue thing to get
Yeah,
out of
I
trouble.
am. Yeah. Uh, all those improvements definitely it the preservation of a historical site has very stringent requirements, and obviously it's not designated as a historical site. That's he bought it and is making improvements to it. Historical sites have rules around them for preservation,
Hmm.
um, which all these improvements would not be preservation. They're actual changes to the site. So I don't think that he's necessarily telling the truth
Okay.
here. Because if you were doing a historical site, um, you wouldn't make a lot of changes to it because you would want to show how it was
Mm-hmm.
at the time when history was being made. For example, but
Right. You'd want it to stay the same as it was. Uh,
yeah, exactly.
he it's suggested that he also overpaid for the property. Crow
Which
also,
is
which is
possible.
how you bribe people in in the upper levels of society. You don't just give them a briefcase full of cash. You buy their property for way too much. I think that's a thing Donald Trump has done before, or people have done for him. Um, Crow also bought several other properties on the street and paid significantly less than his deal with the Thomases. One an example, in 2013, he bought a pair of properties on the same block, a vacant lot and a small house for $40,000 in that same block, right down the street. If I was hearing somebody suggesting that they, the justice's mother, thought that the neighbors were too noisy, so Crow bought it from them, the noisy neighbors, and then tore the house down so that she could have a nicer, bigger area. That is
Interesting.
speculation, though.
I would say in 2013, if you can buy two properties on this block for 40,000, and in 2014 you bought this property for 135,000 or 133,000. Hmm,
So he's
that's suspect.
so
Now,
he's that's the
although to be fair,
mhm.
uh, what was the condition of the other properties that he bought? So he bought a vacant lot, it sounds like, and
Yeah.
then he bought a small house.
Mhm.
What's the condition of that house? Is it one that, and also, this is Virginia, right? Uh,
Yeah, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia.
Georgia. So he bought a vacant lot, which is necessarily going to be cheaper because there's no house on that property. Um, and then he bought a small house. But what was the condition of that house? Was it one that would have necessarily required that it be demolished anyway? Right? Because then you're talking about actually a reduced expense at that point where you're not even buying the house, you're buying another vacant lot, but you also have to uh, have the expense of demolishing the unlivable house now.
Mhm. It's
But
entirely possible that it was cheaper, but if you're going to bribe somebody, you would pay them too much for their land, and then improve it for free, and then let his mother stay there for free and not pay any rent. I think this is definitely corruption. This is definitely
yeah,
a bribe.
like Kyle says, I will definitely say this is super sus.
And if
Uh,
the Democrats had any balls, they would push it. They would
I
uh,
would if I was a Democrat. Hell yeah,
uh,
fucking fucking do it.
you push it, suggest that he needs to step down. Have uh, Biden himself say, "I want your resignation, sir." Like, bring him into the office and tell him ahead of time, "Hey, you going to resign? No? Okay. Well, I'm going to go on the cameras and tell you, I want you to resign." Uh, and use it as a. And if you can't get any actual support, if you can't get the legislature on board, you use this as a reason to vote for you next time. You should use this as a explanation on why people need to vote Democrat. That's what they ought to do. Hey, you can't let the House be a
Well,
Republican House
let's
because we're going to hire, because here's what we want to do. We want to
let's
be in
not
charge of
get
the
out of hand
House.
here.
I know. using bad things that the other team has done to suggest that you need to be elected. Why aren't the Democrat strategists as smart as me? But honestly, I think nothing will happen. We'll do nothing.
Maybe.
The
I do believe that this actually now has a lawsuit over it.
Yep,
Yeah.
the civil and criminal complaint against Clarence Thomas.
Yeah. So we'll see if anything comes about onto this. I think that it might start to have teeth here.
Yeah, I think it was a couple of Democratic senators have suggested that Thomas, or no, who's in charge of the Supreme Court? Um, Roberts. There you go. That
So
Roberts ought to investigate it, find out what's going on, put out a report, and if he, and then just let it be. And that's I think most likely going to happen is that Roberts will investigate, say here's the thing, okay, we're going to have him file these forms, problem solved, and then everybody's just going to move on.
possibly, we'll see. Um, I think that if I take all this at face value, uh, even the Supreme Court is not um, immune to the rule of law, right?
I would hope so.
So I would say that even in this case, or rather in this case, we should have some form of recourse.
The other two parts, the three parts, the executive, legislative, and judicial, the other two should be like, hey, check and balance.
Right. Well, it's not my fault that you vote for guys that suck.
I know it's not your fault that I vote for guys that suck. I just don't have much choice. Here is Justice Thomas's statement. Early in my tenure at the court, I sought guidance from my colleagues and others in the judiciary, and was advised that the sort of personal hospitality from close personal friends who did not have business before the court was not reportable. I have endeavored to follow the counsel throughout my tenure and have always sought to comply with the disclosure guidelines. He asked around the office, you know.
This was
He
one of
he
those
vibe
ones.
checked. He checked the vibes, you know. And you know what? It seems legal. Probably is.
Everyone does that.
It's not like everyone does that who isn't literally the highest judge in the world. He has law books. I bet if I look him up, look up his photo, there's going to be law books behind him. Maybe he should open one of those books and read them and find out if the thing
I don't
he's
see any
done
books.
is illegal. There's no books. He's not he's a judge, not in charge. See,
You're
this is the
wrong.
problem. This is the problem. This proves the problem. He's not got all those law books behind him.
Damn it if you do, damn if you don't. You got those
Right.
books behind you, better read them.
Better
You
read
don't have the
them.
books?
Don't have the books? Get the books.
Get them.
Get the books and then read them. If anybody's going to read those law books, it ought to be this guy. If anybody's going to know the law or see a situation that they don't know, I swear to
I
God,
love it. Dude, that was too perfect.
no books.
He's going to
This is
have
the
books behind
problem.
him. You Google him. No books.
No books. He needs the books because he didn't have the book, so he just
Are
went.
you implying that he didn't read the books?
I'm implying that he didn't read the books. He sought guidance from his colleagues and others in the judiciary. He asked around the office, hey, you guys. He just checked the vibes. He vibe checked. Hey, you guys think this is legal?
Oh,
Okay. I guess it is. If it feels legal, you know, it just feels pretty
everyone
good.
vibe checks at their office.
Everybody vibe checks at their office. Yes,
Everyone does it.
if you're a hairdresser, that's
Including Supreme
fine.
Court justices.
If you're a hairdresser, that's fine. If you're
Everyone vibe checks at the House of Representatives. Everyone vibe checks at the DOJ.
everybody
Everyone
just
does
vibe
it.
checks.
Also, Kyle is trying to text to us and switch your chat from top chat to live chat, please.
I can do that,
Right there.
probably,
Yeah.
right there.
Beautiful.
I didn't know that was a button. Okay, cool. Yeah, vibe checks. I mean, if you're a hairdresser or a pizza delivery guy, you can vibe check around the office. I'm on board. But
Kyle says, regardless of politics, rule of law, uphold that shit. I agree.
yeah, don't vibe check. If you're on the Supreme Court, you shouldn't be vibe checking. You should like open a book and find out and make a decision. I, I would assume that if a novel law problem came up to this guy, he would either comprehend it or look it up to find out what the rules are. Like, that's his job. He's the rules lawyer, he's the rules guy. This is his purpose within the entire establishment of the country. He is look at the rules, find out what they are. Hey, we found a weird loophole or something odd or something that we're not entirely sure how to interpret within those rules. Can you give us a suggestion? And that's his idea. That's his purpose.
Oh, hey, I got somebody at the door. Be right back.
Okay. Yes, Kyle. His wife is a nightmare as well. Um, she is a QAnon loon who does very sus things. Going right down to the important part, which is controversy. No, there's not a controversy tab on this one. Um, the call to action instructed members to pressure Republican lawmakers into challenging the election results and appointing alternative slates of electors. Ginny Thomas, wife of Clarence Thomas, tried to overturn the 2020 election. She did. She promoted Stop the Steal rally on Facebook. You know, she's a bad person. She's doing bad things. But it's fine because nobody cares. Because he just gets to do whatever he wants. Apparently, we're all ruled by vibe checks.
And back.
Okay.
I'm
Kyle.
officially 2 boxes of Thin Mints richer, by the
Oh,
way.
good. Congratulations. Those are my favorite
Glorious.
ones. How do you eat them?
Oh, me too.
You just eat them straight, or you put them in the
Oh, the whole
freezer?
thing.
Oh, put them in the
No,
freezer.
I just eat them straight
Okay.
up.
Try them in the freezer.
I will do that.
Just put them in there for a couple hours. Bring them back out. Very nice. I I take them out of the freezer and then drink a Coca-Cola along with it. Just a good combo, in my opinion.
Coca-Cola and Thin Mints? Are you
Yeah.
fucking kidding me?
Oh yeah, that's the way I do it. I think it makes a good combo. What do you drink?
You're a radical
What
man.
do you drink?
Nothing.
Nothing?
I just
Okay.
eat them. I eat them straight, and I drink water if I need to.
Okay. Kyle asked about Ginny Thomas, his wife, and I went to the Wikipedia page. So yeah, I
Who?
think Ginny Thomas, his wife,
Oh yeah.
Clarence Thomas's wife, who is a QAnon loon and helped the Stop the Steal rallies and helped with Jan 6. You know,
Cool.
I want Joe Biden to have the balls to say you need to step down. And if the guy refuses, you go on TV, you talk about how it needs to be stepped down, and if that uh, fails, you make it an election
Well, here's a question.
issue. Sure.
If he fails to do that, if he
hmm
doesn't,
hmm
you still gonna vote for him?
Who? Joe Biden
Uh
against Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump? Yes, because the do nothing is
huh.
better
then
than the
Joe
do
Biden
wrong.
doesn't give a then Joe Biden doesn't give a fuck about
I
what you want
know,
him to do.
I know, and you're in the same boat. There's lots of things you disagree with Donald Trump on, but you're going to vote for him over Joe Biden. And
Oh, well, that's very true. Yeah.
yeah, so there's lots of things I disagree with Biden on, but I have to vote for him over Donald Trump. The do nothing is better than the do wrong. Standing still is a better situation than doing the wrong thing. Um, but yeah, if he refuses to step down, Joe Biden should make it an election issue. Hey, we need more Democrats who are going to pressure this guy to step down. If the entire legislature and the entire House and the entire executive are all pressuring him to step down, it makes it more likely because that is the check and the balance.
That could be bad strategy.
How do you think that's a bad strategy?
Um, because the Republicans will turn around and say they are trying to steal the Supreme Court, and
Republicans steal the Supreme
they
Court all the damn time. They did it.
no, they don't.
They did it too. They did. McConnell stole Obama's last pick.
Garland,
Yes,
he didn't steal that though.
he
He just
literally
refused
did.
to do
Who
the hearings or
refused to do
whatever.
it. And what happens if there were a Republican Senate right now and there's but he okay, McConnell 100% stole that, lied his ass off and bent the rules and changed the rules to get him get what he wanted. Obama only had 1 year left, or maybe a little more than a year, and McConnell's like, no, 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 we can't do it in an election year. And
It
then
was less than a year.
it was the election year. I think it was about a year. It was close to a year, and it was months before
He
RBG.
stalled. That's what he did. He
He
stalled.
stalled, right, which
Yeah.
should be against the rules. He stole it. He stole it by stalling. Stalling was the tactic he used to get his end, which was stealing.
I mean,
And then it was
in the
how,
end, if
and
he really
then
wanted
it was
with
an
Merrick
election
Garland as
year.
the Supreme Court justice, he could have just, voted Hillary in. But
Yeah, I agree. We should have voted for Hillary. The uh, and then in an election year, he gets Trump's final one passed a few months before Trump's reelection. He
oh yeah,
is
I know.
so
I know the whole
because he
story. I know it
is
was shicey as fuck.
duplicitous. He's shisty. He's duplicitous. He says
But it
X
was it
when
was
it's
shicey as fuck in my direction, so I'm okay with
right. That's what
it.
that's conservatism right there, baby. You just described it. It's
Oh, get
crooked
the
as
fuck out of
hell.
here.
That is
Oh
conservatism
no,
that's
no, no, no.
defined. It's crooked, but it's crooked in my direction, so
That's
it's fine.
politics defined.
No.
Yes.
Uh, we can discuss that if you want later, but I'm saying that you just described uh, conservatism. But
Well, you're wrong.
I'm
You
wrong.
described politics.
Okay. So when I would suggest that that is an incorrect definition on your part because the Democrats cheat far less. They do it too, but not as a first response. They do it at the end when they're desperate and they have to.
Interesting. You know what? Actually, I'll save my rebuttal for that for if we ever actually talk about this.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that
Any more to get on about the judge before we get too derailed?
nope.
All right. You want to do Maytag, Montana, or DeSantis next?
Just pick one.
Okay. We'll do Florida. Governor Ron DeSantis pushes toughest immigration crackdown in the U.S. I haven't read this one. Tell me about this. What is this?
Oh, so Florida now has immigration laws that the entire country should have.
Okay. Bills would expose.
Essentially, it's you don't if you hire an illegal immigrant, you shelter or transport an illegal immigrant, uh, you are in violation of the law.
Unless you're
If
sending them to
you,
Martha's Vineyard, right?
yeah, if you are a uh, hospital,
Mm-hmm.
hospitals will ask you, or if you're at a hospital, hospitals will ask you for your immigration status, and hospitals have to report to the state.
Do they continue to treat them if they have their arm cut off?
Yes,
Okay, just checking.
that that doesn't say that they don't treat them. That
It just says
says
they report it.
they
Okay.
ask and report.
Okay.
And the Florida state law enforcement has to assist federal authorities in enforcing national immigration laws.
Florida Department of.
You're muted.
I know, because I'm yelling at the children.
Oh,
Invalidate out-of-state driver's licenses issued to immigrants in the country without legal permission. I mean, he's gonna put together a team to do that. Is the DMV gonna do that? Gonna have to hire some
Probably.
people. Okay. And direct Florida Department of Law Enforcement to provide assistance to federal authorities in enforcing the nation's immigration laws. That's fine. He can direct the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to do things. That's fine. Has separately proposed eliminating in-state college tuition for students in the country without legal permission and beneficiaries of the Obama era DREAM Act, DACA, program known as DACA, who were brought to the United States young children. So he's cutting the DACA?
Yeah.
That's a dumbass idea. Why do these guys hate freedom? They do. They hate freedom.
No.
Yes.
No.
That Ron DeSantis is anti-freedom. He is control. He is controlling these things. He does not want these people here, and in an attempt to make that happen, he is creating legal barriers. He is laying down barriers, laying down walls, creating a fortress. Fortresses aren't free. They're strict. They're controlled. They're regimented. And you can say you agree with the building of the fortress, which is what he's doing.
Fortresses are designed to protect the people within them.
Mm-hmm.
Are they not?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
But they're not freedom. The fortress is an opposite of freedom entirely. A fortress is strict control. Who goes in, who goes out.
Build a fortress.
Uh-huh.
And let's say you're Rome.
Sure.
And you build a fortress. Fortress has a purpose.
Yes.
Fortress
I didn't say it doesn't have a purpose.
To restrict the freedom of the Goths to invade you.
Sure. You want the power to protect your people.
Yes.
It is.
Do you think that a fortress is inherently bad?
No. They're inherently restrictive.
Well, sure. And we
Okay.
restrict things all the time, don't we? I mean, I have the freedom to punch somebody in the face, but we restrict that freedom
with consequences
via
afterward. Yes.
consequences, right? So it's not. I don't think your characterization of this is necessarily fair.
Okay. Because
I think that sure, people have the freedom to come into the country without legal authority to do so, or to overstay their visas, which are the two major ways that people come in the first place. But you know, this is a crackdown on, or this imposes consequences for doing it and for allowing it to happen. So when people come here illegally, do not hire them. Do not give them somewhere to stay. They are not supposed to be here. I think this is great. I think the whole country should adopt this kind of law.
And if it harms our economy, would you still be okay with it? Because it will. If you live in the state of Texas and you eat a salad, you support illegal immigration. You do. If you're in the state of Texas and you eat a piece of lettuce, it was most likely picked by an illegal immigrant.
Yes, probably at much lower than.
Which is why this hiring thing won't fly. That's why this is
corporations
theater.
Will hate it.
The corporations will hate it. Okay.
They will, because
yes, I agree.
You can hire illegal immigrants for less than minimum wage, right?
Right.
Right, and you want to hire workers at the lowest possible amount if you can. In this case, that hiring bit means that corporations actually have to pay citizens to do the job, and those citizens have to be paid a fair wage.
Okay.
This is good for wages. It might
I
not be great for the economy.
It'll raise their prices.
It'll raise prices for
Okay.
sure, but
And
it's also good for wages.
I think that's fine if you've made a way for these people to become citizens. If you make a way for
Why?
these people, why? Because they're good for the economy. They're helping. They're literally doing jobs. Job creators are great things. If you ask a conservative, hey, job creators, ooh, we love them.
That's not a job creator.
It
That's
liter-
a job filler.
I have a large corporation and I grow lettuce out of the ground, and then I hire people to plant it. I hire people to farm it. I hire people to harvest it. I hire people to transport it. This is job creation. And
That's the
in my
corporation that's
greed,
doing that.
yes, it's a corporation. It's a corporation, job creators,
The
right?
the
I
people
mean,
filling those jobs are
in
not
my
job
greed,
creators.
no, the people filling the jobs aren't, but the company that's hiring them is. The company that's
Oh,
hiring them, in their greed, hires the cheapest person they can, which is an illegal person.
right.
And
And this
if
says you don't get to do
they
that anymore. Now
couldn't
you have
do
to
that,
pay a fair wage to a citizen.
great. And if there's not enough citizens
Pay
to
him
do the
more.
jobs, no, 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 there's not enough. If there's literally not enough people to do the job,
There are enough.
there aren't.
There are. I'm telling you, there are. There are
Okay.
enough people that have dropped out of the workforce that would come back if you paid them a wage that is commensurate to the job you're asking them to do.
Okay.
Right? Illegal immigration drives wages down. If you want wages up, then you have to have competition in the labor market on the side of the corporations. It's not the laborers that should be competing with each other for who can do the job for the least amount. It should be corporations that are competing with each other for how much can we pay you to do this job,
Hmm.
right? This brings wages up. If you have less labor, less available labor, then what you're going to have is competition by the corporations to hire people, which means that wages go up. That is a good thing, right? Wages going up.
I want wages to go up, but I don't think
Well,
illegal immigration drives
this
them
is how you,
down.
it absolutely does. It adds not only it does two things. First of all, illegal immigration adds adds numbers to the labor pool, which means that there is more available labor.
Okay.
And the second thing it does is it allows for companies to avoid the price floor for that labor.
Hmm.
You can pay illegal immigrants less than the minimum, right? So the
Yes.
minimum wage is effectively a price floor, and illegal immigration gets around that price floor by allowing you to pay somebody less money than the minimum for the work, right?
Hmm.
So you do two things. It's you um, you introduce more competition for the labor,
Hmm.
and also you avoid the price floor. That's how illegal immigration reduces wages.
Okay. And if they were citizens, this would be better. They would then have to be paid the proper wage,
They
and they
would,
yes, and
but
then they would be
why
capable
would
of using it
do you
and
think
paying
that
into
there should
taxes.
do you think there should be any requirement for being a citizen?
Requirement? I didn't have one. I
Well, you
was
were
just
born here, right?
born here. I didn't have very much say in that decision. Uh,
Okay. If you were to go to
I was born this way. I didn't
let's
choose it.
say you wanted to move to the Netherlands.
Hmm. Because they're super socialists, and I want to go there. Uh,
Yeah. Um
I
is
agree.
there a requirement there?
I accept the idea of requirements. I didn't say
Oh, you do.
I don't want there to be nothing. I want there to be less restrictive, uh,
Do you think that if you moved,
possible
if you flew into the
bigotry.
Netherlands, let's
Hmm.
say on a tourist, uh, or under the guise of being a tourist, and then you started working a job there, and
Fell in love with it. Thought
you
it was
rented a
great.
house and
Yeah,
thought it
love
was
it.
great, and you
That's
just stayed there,
having
do
a
you think that
life.
they don't have the right to remove you?
I think they should, if they're a proper, good government, give me a way to change. Either,
They have a way. They have requirements.
right, they have requirements, and I think those requirements ought to
Now,
be
if
decent.
you
They ought to
don't,
the requirements ought to be built in a way that you can achieve them and then stay. After you've jumped over the hurdles, uh, you, they should be hurdles, not a fortress. They should be hurdles that I have to get over to get into the country and stay there, instead of a fortress, which is locking people out, which is what I've already called DeSantis' thing, fortress. If
see,
you want these people, make them jump over hurdles. Sorry, I interrupted.
that's the thing though, is that Netherlands has a very large social program, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I'm not going to call them socialist. They're not.
I know. I was being
Um,
facetious.
but my understanding of the Netherlands is that if you want to move there, it requires first of all, it requires a certain net worth.
Okay.
It requires that you have a very particular skill that is needed
Hmm.
by a particular company. So
Hmm.
you're going to be employed already when you come there,
Hmm.
when you go there. Essentially, yes, the Netherlands has these social programs, but if you are an immigrant there, you will be one of the people that is contributing to them rather than is uh, using them.
Those sound like hurdles. I'm
They
not
are
super in
hurdles.
love with the net worth hurdle. I think that's probably a bad hurdle. But are they doing felony charges to people who hire you? Are they doing
They'll
felony
deport you.
charges? Deport you. But felony charges to anybody who sheltered you.
You know, I'm not sure, and I could
And
look into Dutch immigration law
I'm not sure
and
either.
find out. I
If
bet you
they
they do.
if they do, then they're also building a fortress, and I don't like it.
Fortresses are required
No.
to support these programs in the first place.
Fortresses are anti-freedom. And I recognize that you might need them sometimes, but I don't think we need a fortress when it comes to the poorest of the poor trying to get a job and make a better life. That's not where I want the fortress built.
It's not the well, they are poor, yes, but they're also not Americans.
So, I don't care. I just don't care that they're not Americans. If I if the American empire collapsed and I had to trek from my current place to across the Canadian border to get a job to feed these smelly children over here, I would do it. And you wouldn't stop me. No imaginary line in the dirt can stop me. People can stop me if they build a fortress and they build these laws. They build felony charges
Mm-hmm.
preventing me. But an imaginary line in the dirt won't.
Well,
If there's a
those
better,
are
if
not
there's,
felony charges for you.
they
They're
would
felony
be if
charges
they were
for the companies that hire you.
okay. And if they did felony charges for that company and they deported me, and I saw this as my only recourse, that's what I would do. I would do it again. That's why they have those repeat people coming over to again and again and again. They cross the border and then they work and then they get shipped back and then they do it again. This isn't because they're bad people. This isn't because they think that the laws don't apply to them. It's because they're desperate.
Never
People,
said they were bad people.
I know
I
you
never
didn't. I know
accused
you're
them
not
of being
suggesting them of being okay. Okay, you're
anything.
not. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You
they
didn't.
have reasons that they want to come here.
Right.
Yes, that's fine. we have reasons that we don't want people to come here.
And I think they're bad reasons. I think the
Well, you
reasoning
can think that. That's
behind
fine.
Mr. DeSantis'
But
bill is not a good thing. I think the reasoning is because it's easy to shit on them. It's easy to talk trash about them. It's easy to they're an easy target. Oh yeah, your economy's bad? Probably the immigrants. You know, things not going right. You lost your job? Immigrants. What's that? You don't like the way the country's going? Yeah, immigrants. Too
got it
many
backwards the whole way.
crimes?
Nope.
Immigrants. They blame
No.
the Republicans blame all of those problems on immigration.
No, they don't. They
Yeah,
blame
they
all those
do.
problems on Democrats. And it's true.
And the Democrats that are allowing the immigration. It's Joe Biden's border policies. I'm pretty sure it's fucking right here, isn't it? Joe Biden's open border agenda. He's literally doing it right there. Ron DeSantis blaming problems in this country on Joe Biden's open border agenda.
Well, I
Because
have to
it's
ask you this.
easy.
Do you
It's
actually
easy.
think that any part of that first paragraph, which is the only one that actually is describing the law,
Okay.
not that one.
Oh, this
Scroll
one, sorry.
down.
Oh, sorry. This one down here.
That
Bills
first
would
paragraph.
expose people to felony charges for sheltering. Dumb idea. Hiring and transportation of immigrants. Ron DeSantis
Who are in the
transported
country
immigrants one
without legal
time.
permission.
Yes, that's dumb.
Require hospitals to
Waste of
verify
time.
immigration status
Waste of time.
and report it, and invalidate out-of-state driver's license for illegal immigrants.
Does not help our country. Only harms people. It harms the weakest and the poorest and the most oppressed. It also
It does help our country.
no, not in
Yes.
any way.
Yep, it absolutely does. Especially in terms of the labor market. Fucking
NPR says
United
economists
States
disagree on whether
jobs.
or how much influx immigration depresses wages.
Yes,
Economists disagree.
they depress wages for certain groups, like teenagers or workers without a high school diploma. In other words, the poorest of our people.
Okay. Some have found that the new immigration depressed wages for certain groups, such as teenagers and or workers with a high school diploma or less. Others say the overall effect of the economy is tiny, and an influx of immigration workers vitalizes the economy overall. Tiny.
Because when you have, so what you're not understanding about economics is that economists are looking at an overall input and output. So everything they want everything to come out with the lowest possible price, right? So the production of something, let's say coal, for example, the production of coal. If you have you have two resources, right? You have the coal that's in the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and you have the labor that is required to extract it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those two inputs you want to be at the lowest possible price so that you can produce the product, which is the mined coal, right? As your output. Which means that yes, if you have more available labor and more available coal, the price of coal will go down because you have more available coal, and we have a supply-demand balance there.
Mm-hmm.
And then on labor, you have the same thing, supply-demand balance. If you have a greater supply of labor, that means that the price of labor will go down to reach equilibrium.
Okay.
And so you want more inputs so that your output costs less overall. That is what those economists are looking at.
Okay. Are there
The ones that say that
So there are economists that disagree with what you just said. Do you think we could find one? Just curious. But then you can go on.
there are economists that disagree with what.
With
No,
the
there's
description.
literally no economist
Nobody
that
disagrees with
what
that.
I was saying.
Okay.
If you ask any economist, does an increased supply of a particular good or service or commodity, which labor is a commodity according to economists, does a greater supply of a commodity translate to a reduced price for it?
Okay.
And the answer, every economist will always tell you yes.
I'm agreeing with you there. So far, all the economists on board for supply and demand. I'm on board for that. I get that. But when you get into the areas of immigration, of wage, of labor theories, economists start to disagree, don't they?
They do because of the stratification of the effect. So, uh, like it says right here, it says that new immigrants suppress wages for certain groups like teenagers or workers with a high school diploma or less. So
Okay.
your lower tier workers, right?
Okay.
Um, it is true that a certain amount of immigration actually increases wages for higher tier workers.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where the disagreement comes from. Is if your blue collar people make less because of immigration, but your white collar people make more, they didn't really depress wages.
Right. Exactly. Economists disagree because the economy is unknowable. I don't
It's not
trust
unknowable.
economists. Yes, it is entirely. They
You,
cannot agree. Economists disagree on
okay,
everything
let me put it this way:
because
an
they
influx.
will
No,
lie.
they don't disagree on everything. They agree on just about everything. They disagree on the interpretation of their own data.
Then what good are
Okay,
they? What worth
the,
have they?
to see what the data is itself. The blue collar people, they when we have immigration, blue collar people make less. Okay, white collar people make more, and that makes sense too because guess what? When you have that extra labor supply, what happens? What happens is you get to pay blue collar people less, and the white collar people, the managers and whatnot, get to make more because their profit margins are higher because they're paying people less. That's why economists disagree on whether there's an impact on wages because
Which is why they should just be citizens. Problem goes away.
why? It
Because
doesn't go
they're
away at
here and they're
all.
working. Yes, it
No, it
does.
doesn't go away at all.
Because they're here and they're working, they're
It
Americans now.
still depresses the wages for blue collar people at the same rate, whether you make them
How?
citizens or not,
How? Now they're making minimum wage.
because the
That high
supply of
school
labor.
diploma, that high school worker, that teenager, is now the same price as the illegal immigrant.
Okay,
It solves the problem.
and it doesn't though because all you do then is you then compress your wages all the way down to that minimum because if there is enough competition for the job itself, if your laborers are competing for the job, they will all take minimum wage. Whereas if your corporations are competing for the labor, they have to pay more than minimum wage in order to get that labor to work for them. If you are making $7.50 per hour
Uh-huh.
and another company offers you $10 an hour, you're going to go take that job, right? The the
Sure.
the the problem there is that if you have so many people trying to get jobs that are all willing to take $7.50 per hour, then you're never going to have another company that offers $10 an hour to come fill a different job because that $10 an hour, why would you? Why would you offer $10 an hour when you can find somebody just fine who will do it for $7.50?
Okay. You're not telling me why they shouldn't be uh, citizens.
Well, yes, I am.
I'm not, whatever point you're getting to, I'm not getting it. And it's probably because I don't comprehend the economy because I don't trust it. I don't believe it. I think that economists are liars who will say whatever they want to get their point across. Um,
Allowing, all right, I'll put it in one
okay.
sentence.
Okay.
Allowing unrestricted, unregulated immigration.
I didn't suggest unrestricted or unregulated.
Well, let me finish.
Okay.
Increases the labor pool to a point
Okay.
where you will no longer have a fair value for wages
I,
of wages.
I mean, this seems like religion to me. I mean, it really does. I don't comprehend how you get to that point, and I don't comprehend that the idea of it entirely. Um,
I really,
Economists are a religion to me. Every time I hear one, every time you talk to me about the economy, all I hear is the ecclesiastical, why the Holy Trinity is the way that the Holy Trinity is, that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I hear. It could be a me problem. This could be a severe lacking on my part, and it probably is. I would suggest
it
it is a
is.
severe
And
lacking on
I
leftists' parts,
actually,
on all
I'm gonna
leftists.
go ahead and recommend, Waldo. I recommend that you take an economics 101 class.
Okay.
Just do it. Just go to just
So
apply to a college,
I think
spend the
it's
$300.
uh-huh. And
Just take an economics 101, please.
just go in there to go to church and hear what the preacher has to say, and it'll all start to make sense.
Except that this
That's what
all
you're telling me.
actually applies. It all applies. It's all
Except that
logical. It's
it
it's
isn't.
actually,
No, it's
to
not
me,
logical.
it's
It's not logical
intuitive.
at all. It's intuitive to you
It
because
is.
you've been brought up in that you've been brought up in the Church of Economists. So you comprehend their uh, doctrine. You comprehend the scripture of the economists. So these aren't new words. When you say economy words to me, they buzz, and I'm like, wait, what does that one mean again?
This
It's like
is
you're speaking
not.
French, and I only know
No.
like 4 words in
Okay.
French.
This is like someone denying the science behind vaccines.
I
That's what you're doing
agree
right now.
that I'm denying the science behind vaccines. No, biology is far more hard science than economy. Far more.
The economy has many, many years of study. Like,
Yes, and it's
who
by economists who I don't trust. I suspect that they are liars.
everybody who studies the economy is an economist.
Yes, and they all lie
Therefore, if
so
I
that they can make
study
more money.
the economy, it
Yes.
makes me an economist. Therefore, my uh, explanation to you is no longer valid because I studied the economy.
Right, now you're getting it. The economists tell you what the economy is, and then when you ask them how the economy works, they give you the economist
This
answer.
this is too ridiculous, man.
I
Come on.
am being very conspiratorial right now. I am doing that. But
This
this is a and
this is
I'm gonna tell you that the left has a problem with this. They always have. Do they not? Is the left weak on the economy?
yes.
They
They are
always been.
really stupid on the
They are
economy.
really stupid on the economy. I agree. The leftists are bad at the economy, and I'm gonna suggest because it doesn't hit right in our brains. I will try to okay, and I recognize that you are far more experienced and understanding in this,
Oh,
and you usually explain it, and I don't get it. Yeah, South Park did an economy episode, and it's gone. You
I
know,
haven't seen it.
okay.
I'll have to watch.
He puts $200 in the bank, and then the bank says, okay, and it's gone because it was gambled and lost. And then there was a chicken involved with where the chicken poops. That's where the stocks go. Um, so anyway, I'm suggesting. Here's what I'll suggest, and then you tell me what an economist would say about it. One, set up some hurdles. If you're here illegally, set some hurdles. You have to fill out some paperwork. You have to go to the DMV. You have to fill out these forms. You have to get a uh, temporary driver's license that's a certain color, different than all the other ones. And then if you actually broke some laws, you have to pay a fine, and that fine can come out through the IRS. And then after so many years, you are a citizen. That's the whole thing. And then if you have one of those green what we call them green cards, but it would be a different color. If you have one of these temporary licenses, then you could be hired and sheltered. I mean, is this
We
going to
have that
ruin the economy?
already.
So
No, we have that already,
we have that already.
and I actually forget what it's called. Let me just Google that really quick because
If
I know we already have that program.
okay, if we have that program, why the hell does Ron DeSantis need to create felony charges and kill the DACA Act?
Yeah, the program is called the H-1B.
Okay, I've heard of that before.
Yeah, it's for skilled workers to come to do a job that we need them to do.
And
They do it for a very specific amount of time,
you apply for
and
that.
then
You apply to that before you get here.
yes, you do.
Okay. What?
You also have work visas
I know
that you
that
can
you
apply
apply
for
for
before you get
before you
here.
get here.
You come to do a job,
Okay,
and then
great.
your visa expires and you go away.
Okay, great. There's 6 million people who are already here. Probably closer to 11 million. If 6 million might be an old number, but there's
That
right
is a
around.
really old number
I know.
because
So
it
it's
was
11
11
now,
million
isn't
in
it?
2012,
Okay.
and we're probably looking at 20 million now.
Okay. What do we do for the 20 million people? We need a realistic plan.
Hi.
Is
Um, so you came here under something we agreed to, and then that agreement expired, and you
mm-hmm,
should have gone away, and you didn't.
mm-hmm.
Uh, go away.
Are we going to load up trains? What are we doing? How do they go away? They literally pay rent every month. They might even have a mortgage. Hell, they literally have. They're part of the country. They're here. They
Well,
have a
then we
house. They have a car
penalize.
payment. They have bill. They pay the water bill.
Well,
They
we
have children in
penalize the
school.
landlord. We penalize the
Penalize
landlord.
the
Yep.
landlord. Felony charges for sheltering and hiring.
Uh-huh. Penalize the landlord. We
Severe
penalize
increase. Okay.
the mortgage company that issued a mortgage to a
But they had an H-1
non-citizen.
visa when they took it on. H-1B visa when they took it on. You see how muddy this entire process gets. Once you start charging people for felonies, the process gets ugly and painful. Bill, Jose had a H-1B visa. He moved here. He did all the right things. He got here. He did a job for a year. He had rent for a year. He paid his rent. He paid his bills. He has a wife. He has kids. Now that visa has expired, and he stayed because he has a life here. After that first month, a month after it expired, it expired in January, and he paid rent in February. Is that landlord a felon?
Yes. However, there are also legal avenues for all the things you just described.
So
If he
that
has a family, okay, if you get married to a U.S. citizen, right, there are legal avenues to take to retain legal immigrant status without having to have a job.
mm-hmm,
If you have a child that is a U.S. citizen, this is the whole anchor baby argument.
I know, yeah,
You have legal avenues to take to argue that you can stay here.
okay.
Okay? All of those things are things that the individual must take. Like
Okay.
if you don't file for this shit, then how is the state supposed to know that they should let you stay here?
That's if they didn't file for it, then tell them to file for it. That doesn't make you a felon.
It doesn't make them a felon. It makes the people that shelter them or hire them a felon.
So the person who's collecting rent from Jose needs, by law, to comprehend his immigration status every month.
Yes.
That's insane.
It's not every
That
month.
will lead.
You can make it a yearly thing. You check
and
up and say,
and
"Hey,
if it
what's up?"
was and if 6 months into the year he lost it and you kept charging him rent and he kept paying rent for 6 more months, what happens? You go to court and you have to prove this shit? You're gonna
Mm,
gum up the courts for 20 million people. 20 million people pay rent of some sort.
if he loses it after 6 months and you had a um, established relationship there where he was renting from you, and then you, let's say he loses that status after 6 months, I would bet that your next, so like if you have every year you verified,
You,
right?
you re-sign the lease or something along those lines.
So along those lines, then it'd be when it came time to re-sign the lease again,
mm-hmm.
it would be okay.
You have to
Hey,
check. You have to do.
do you have your card? Like, what's your status right now?
Okay.
And if not, then now if you allow them to continue staying there, or him specifically.
Yeah. Jose has lost his HB1V status after 6 years. He's lost it and can't get it refilled. And
Well,
he just keeps paying rent for 6 months, and then the landlord checks up on it and says, "Hey, you've lost it." What does the landlord do? Kick him out?
yes, that
And
is what has to happen
that
legally.
is awful, and it will lead to 20 million families being on the street. It is
People,
yeah,
not
people,
families.
or 20 million people being on the street. This is
Mm,
awful. And then, if we find out that that's going to happen, I'll never be a landlord for anybody on H1B visas. H1B visas. That's a hard thing to say. H1B visas. I'll just never rent to anyone because they could lose it. And then I'm a felon. They won't be able to get a house. They won't be able to pay rent. They won't be able to live anywhere. If you have bad credit, people won't rent you a house. H1B visas
your
will
view is very
become,
U.S. centric.
my view is US centric. I'm suggesting
Well,
that we don't have borders at all. I'm pushing for 30 years from now. There's no such thing as a border. And I'm US centric. Um,
if we, so it is going to be tough if we kick out, 20 million people.
20 million people.
It's going to be tough. It's going to suck.
It,
Um,
yeah,
but
it's going
it's
to be
not
a
out on the
nightmare.
streets, is it? It's
Well, they
back to the
can't,
country of origin for them.
that they haven't lived in for years. Or their kids left when they were 2. These DACA kids, deferred action for childhood arrivals. Their
Their
parents brought
their
them here.
children, in 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 this case, their children are likely born here.
No, that's not what DACA means. DACA means you were not born here. DACA means you were born in Mexico, and at 2 years old, you were brought into the country, into America.
So it was a mistake that never should have been made.
And then they live here for 10 years. And then the
And we
12-year-olds,
allowed it for 10 years.
right? And then they
At some
have to
point,
go
at
back
some
to
point we have
Mexico,
to
a
correct our
place they've never
mistakes.
been. No, yes, correct the mistakes by allowing them to stay. Don't correct the mistakes by kicking 20 million people out of their homes and putting them on trains to a country they haven't been to before. Correct the mistake, not by creating felony charges. Correct the mistake by coming up with a system that lets them become documented.
Well, we have tried that.
We
See,
amnesty
um,
back when,
yeah, we
yeah,
did
he
we
did
did
it.
amnesty back in the Reagan days, and it's actually the reason that I don't like Reagan. We did amnesty, and the agreement was supposed to be that we do amnesty in return for border security. Massive changes to our immigration rules. And it was an agreement that Reagan came up with alongside the Democrats in the House and Senate. And we did the amnesty, and then we never actually overhauled the immigration system. So the Democrats lied. They
Good.
won the amnesty,
I'm telling
and
you,
then they
border
fucked us
security.
over in terms of border security.
Every single dollar spent on border security is wasted. Garbage. You might as well set it on fire. It's worthless. It is
Yeah,
harmful
you
and
know what we should do instead?
not good. Create a way to come here and register.
You know what we should do instead of border security?
What?
We should make it a felony to shelter, hire, or transport illegal immigrants.
No. You're
You hit the
building the
companies.
fortress. You're building the fortress, man. You're putting up them walls, baby. Build that
Every
fortress.
country is a fortress.
And
It's just a matter of how strong it is.
I think fortresses are anti-freedom. That's what I'm telling you. My purpose, my point, my direction is always towards freedom. Fortresses are the opposite of freedom. That is, if you don't understand what direction I'm going, if anybody listening or paying attention doesn't understand what Waldo's idea is, generally it's towards freedom. I want to aim towards more human freedom. And a felony charge for renting to someone who's not supposed to be in the country is not freedom. It is anti-freedom. Stopping people from coming across an imaginary line in the ground is not freedom. It's anti-freedom. We invented borders. Borders are not trees that grow out of the ground. They're not a hurricane that comes without us stopping it. They're not sunshine. We invented them. We created them. We drew them. We put them exactly where they are, and we can change them. We can make them work better.
You are overly idealistic.
Maybe. Most people aren't ready for the level of ideas that I've got. I am being overly idealistic. Yes, I agree. And I don't think felony charges for the people who are here illegally are a good idea.
There again,
A way to
you're
go.
misrepresenting.
Felony charges to the people who are. I mean, they've broken. I mean, okay. What did I misrepresent there? I might have.
The people who are here illegally are not the ones that are charged with the felony.
They're not charged with crimes for breaking immigration law.
They're charged for breaking immigration law. The
Okay.
people what you have highlighted, what
Okay.
you're describing right now, is the people that shelter, hire, and transport them.
Okay.
That is a U.S. citizen
Uh-huh.
who is making the choice to break the law.
If you can prove that they've made that choice.
If I can prove it, and if it can be proved, they should be subject to those charges. Right?
No, I don't think this law should exist at all. I don't think it should be a crime to rent to an illegal alien. I don't think that's illegal at all. I don't want that to be a felony. I don't want the government cracking down on that. That is a bad thing for the government to be spending its time doing. Because you know who needs to live in a house? Everybody. Even illegal immigrants need a house to live in.
They have houses
They have houses
in Venezuela,
in Venezuela,
and in Mexico,
in Mexico,
and in India.
and they're not allowed to have a house here.
No,
No, why not? Because they were
because
born
we
in
didn't tell
Mexico?
them to
Because they were
come
born in
here.
Venezuela? So that's anti-freedom. You're being anti-freedom right there. Somebody born in Venezuela doesn't get to come to America and rent a house. Because you've built walls. You've built a fortress. And say, no, you cannot come in.
Yeah,
So it's anti-freedom.
anti-freedom for people that are not subject to our Constitution. Yeah.
Right. Is our Constitution great and awesome?
Sure.
Should more people be under it?
No.
No. Would you support other countries adopting our Constitution?
Sure.
Okay. So it's good for people, yes?
I don't think that. Well,
I think the Constitution
honestly,
is good for people.
should we should we spread freedom?
If we're
We
actually
have
spreading freedom, yes.
for
If we're
the citizens of the United States, right? We have the Constitution. Everybody who's a citizen is subject to our Constitution, which means they have certain rights,
Mhm.
right? Should we force that freedom on any other country?
I don't want to force freedom on anybody. I want
Like,
to give them the option.
was our invasion of Iraq, for example, justified?
That's the direction
Alright.
I was going as well. Since you said spread freedom, our invasion of
Oh,
Iraq.
that's
Our invasion of Iraq was not a spreading of freedom. That is a
really
Republican
I
talking
mean,
point. That is horseshit. It's a Republican horseshit talking point. Well, we gotta spread freedom to Iraq. No, nonsense. That's not what we were doing there. It's not what we were ever going to do there. And it was
I mean,
a
Vietnam,
clusterfuck from beginning
Korea,
to end.
Iraq, Afghanistan.
Clusterfucks of warhawks. Warhawk clusterfucks.
Oh, I totally
We were
agree.
not spreading freedom. Anybody suggesting that Iraq was a spreading of freedom is insane person.
You asked me if
I know.
more people should be subject to the United States Constitution.
And you said no. I'm asking
I said
if
no.
you said if you.
And
I want to spread it. Great. If it's great and it's good and it works, spread it peacefully, properly, not at the point of a gun, not with tanks and uranium rounds.
But you want to spread it.
I want everybody to recognize that it's a good system and then adopt it. I want everybody to recognize that the people are coming to America to make a better life. I want the other countries to say, hey, what are those American guys doing that's making all the people go there? Can we also do that? That's what I want. I
Those
want,
countries hate us.
because we generally shoot at them. We generally make things harder for them to make our lives better. Because we generally destroy their productivity to increase ours.
We tried the spreading of freedom. It doesn't work.
No, we didn't. Republicans did war crimes and called it spreading freedom. Those war hawk clusterfucks of Vietnam were not passed by people who wanted freedom for other people. They wanted power, control, and authority over these regions and called it freedom. This is a completely different subject, but I don't think Republicans comprehend what the word freedom means. I think the general, and I'm not talking specifically to you, but I have talked to other conservatives who do not know what the word freedom means. They think the word freedom means being a white Christian middle class white picket fence owning person in the middle of America. That's freedom. Anything that isn't those things is anti-freedom, is not what you should be working towards. It's a very weird thing that I am getting very off topic right now. But Republicans, in my opinion, are anti-freedom. Most of the things that they talk about, most of the things they push, most of the policies they suggest are anti-freedom. Felony charges for sheltering, hiring, and transporting immigrants is anti-freedom. Rules to prevent people from coming across the border and getting a job and making a better life are anti-freedom. The trans bills that the Republicans are pushing are anti-freedom. Governor DeSantis signs a 6-week abortion ban into law privately late at night. Anti-freedom.
Mm,
You could do a thing, now you can't. Government says you can't do a thing. Can't do that. 7 weeks? Nope, can't do it. Government says no.
this one, I'm gonna have to push back on because even though God damn it, dude, why you do this to me? Um, you know that I am generally in favor of abortion.
I know. You are. Because you are a reasonable person. Republicans aren't reasonable.
They are reasonable.
No.
It's all consistent.
No. Not in any way.
In this case, it is. And just give me a second.
Okay. Sorry. I'm heated. I'm excited. Okay.
Um, at the very least, people who are religious
Mm-hmm.
believe that life begins at conception,
Okay.
right? Um, this one is 6 weeks, which is, they call it the Heartbeat Protection Act, which is when the child starts to have a heartbeat,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You have said it before,
Mm-hmm.
and I have agreed with you that yes, when you do an abortion,
Mm-hmm.
you are ending a human life.
I don't think it's a human life, but I recognize the sentence and I comprehend why someone would feel this way.
So
Most of the people who are pro-life are under that, uh, believe that description that you've just given us. Yes.
right. The abortion itself, therefore, is a termination of human life.
Fine.
And the reason that people on the right are against abortion
Hmm.
is for that reason. I mean,
I agree.
this human
Then
being,
then they shouldn't ever get one.
if we assume the premise is a human being, then
From
they
their
have a right to
direction,
life,
from
right?
their ideological framework, that is what it is. I disregard the framework. It's the mother's life. She gets to choose. She gets to decide. It's hers.
I think that there's certainly a discussion to be had about at what point the choice is made.
And that is a decision that each person should make themselves, not the governor of Florida, not the president of the United States, even if it is Joe Biden. If Joe Biden passes a sweeping bill that tells people what to do with their bodies, I'm probably going to be against it. I don't think that's a good idea. There should be a choice for the people. If this lady in this photo says abortion is wrong because it's a person, she should never get one.
Well, I'll ask you this question:
Mm-hmm.
as a man,
Mm-hmm.
if I impregnate a woman
Mm-hmm.
and I tell that woman I don't want to have the child,
Mm-hmm.
and she has the child, should I be responsible financially for that
She
child?
made it. She made a choice,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, sometimes you will have to uh, be responsible for your choices as well. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That is, I
So,
think,
so for
a
me,
fair thing.
so for me, my choice was made when I came inside her.
Yes, that was your choice. That was the choice that you made.
Okay.
You have given her a. You've put her on a path.
So now
Mm-hmm.
it's no longer my choice. It's all outside of my autonomy. She can choose whether to
Your
have the child or not, and then depending on her decision, which I have no control over,
your body's not affected. Your
depending
body
on
is
her
not affected.
decision, which I have no control over,
Uh-huh.
I am now financially responsible
Financially.
for this
Yes.
child for 18 years.
Yes. Yes.
That is insane.
That's insane. Republicans
Yes.
tell me, are conservatives not the consequences and repercussions party? Are they not? Are conservatives not the people who say take care of your own, be responsible? They tell me that they are the personal responsibility. That's the term they use.
Uh huh.
Republicans, personal responsibility. Conservatives, personal responsibility. Except if we don't want that kid, and I shouldn't be
If
responsible
if
for it.
if
I don't want that.
uh 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 if there is the choice, should have been on the what?
He's talking about pills. Oh, jeez.
If there is a choice to be made,
Hmm.
it is already made.
It is already
Like
made.
what? How can I put that better? Um, on
You.
the subject of abortion,
Hmm.
an abortion is an opting out by the female
Yes.
of the having of a child.
Yes.
Men
Yes.
are not afforded that same opt out ability.
Correct.
So men lose their autonomy after
No, they don't
having
lose their
sex.
bodily autonomy. They can lose their.
Well,
They can lose
they
some.
lose their
Hey,
financial autonomy,
financial
and
autonomy, possibly
financial autonomy is definitely.
less important than bodily autonomy. Yeah, I agree. Are you going to say no?
I would say that you give up a certain amount of your bodily autonomy to do work that you don't want to do in order to gain money,
Sure.
right?
And you can choose not to do that. If you don't want to carry boxes
Yeah, you can
of
be
heavy things,
homeless.
you can be homeless. You can change jobs. You can look for a different one. Bodily autonomy. If the if your
Why do I feel like
employer,
we have reverse positions here?
we have reverse positions. How do you figure? If your employer
Um,
suggests that you get a very large tattoo to do a very good job, you should be able to tell them no. That is your choice. If your employer wants to give you cut off your right hand and give you a cool robot hand so that you can work better, you have, I think, the choice to turn them down or to take them up on it. Cool robot hands? Beep boop. Yeah. If you want it, go for it.
all
That
right,
is
you
exactly
know
the
what I'll
same
do?
position as having a baby.
No, it's not. But
It is
I'm
exactly.
gonna just skip to the end.
Okay, skip to the
Um,
end.
if you're a man
Uh-huh.
and we have abortion laws as they are, where once the act of sex is over, it's the woman in full control.
Okay.
Should you, as a man, be allowed to opt out of the child's upbringing?
They can.
No, you can't.
You
You are
can. You
legally
can.
required to pay child support.
Mm, I
Should you
think
be
that
allowed to opt out of child support?
you can sign your rights away.
What?
I think they can sign the rights away. If I remember correctly, don't have to, but you also then do not get any visitation. You do not get any legal rights.
You literally cannot opt out of child support. If the
Signing away
woman,
parental rights requires judicial consent. The parental rights to be terminated. A judge must approve. This is not something you or another parent can do without involving the courts. You may file a petition asking a judge to terminate your child's other parental rights. This is
click that
how
click
you
that first link.
dodge it.
Can you stop child support by signing away your parental
I
rights?
bet it's state by state. Signing away parental rights requires judicial consent.
Where's the child support part?
I don't know. I clicked on it, but uh, when you have a child, you have the right to be part of your child's life with the mother and father. You also have certain obligations. Obligations, fine. This means a lot of things for different families. North Carolina, it's state by state again because we have fucking crazy ass state rules.
State by state, yes, as it should be.
God no, it only
Because every
confused
state is its own country.
confusion. Um, For your parental rights to be terminated, there must be a clear and convincing evidence to do so, and that termination is in your child's best interests. Grounds for termination: child abuse and neglect, great willful abandonment, failure to pay child support for more than 1 year, placement of child in custody, parents' inability to care for a child due to incapacity,
Is there any point in here
failure
that
father
just says if you
provide
sign away your
acknowledged
parental rights,
failure for a father
do
to
you no longer have to pay child
you?
support?
I think you have to do a lot less. I think you can dodge some of it.
Oh, scroll down right there.
Termination of parental rights ends child support obligation. In North Carolina, terminating parental rights completely end all legal relationship between the parent and child. As a parent, you will no longer be able to contact your child. You cannot call, email, visit. You do not get to see your child on birthdays or holidays. Termination also ends your legal responsibility to take care of your child. Any child support obligation is lifted. And as
Perfect.
yeah, in
So
North
it should be like this
Carolina,
in all states.
I would be okay with having that in all the states. I'm fine with that in all the
Fair.
states, honestly.
That's fair. All right. That's fair.
Um,
I'll take it.
and
But
okay,
that is how I would have to see it in all states to be in support. Like, if we're going to go with personal autonomy for everything,
bodily autonomy.
then
There's a difference.
sure. If we're going to go with that autonomy, then that autonomy has to happen. I mean, in the end, it's not a difference. That is where I would say it has to be like if you don't want a kid and the girl wants a kid,
Mm-hmm. Then you should be allowed
then
to sign away
you should be
parents
allowed
parental
to
rights.
say no, sign away your parental rights, and also you are not financially responsible.
That's fine with me.
Okay,
I'm
that's
on
fine.
board for that. I don't think that falls into bodily autonomy, but
I
it
think I
falls
think for
into
me it's one or the other, and it is bodily autonomy. I mean,
mm,
how do you get money?
through your child. I don't care how you get money.
Well,
You do some sort of
the
work,
normal
or
person.
maybe you don't. Maybe you just have a trust fund, and maybe you earn you have millions in blue chip stocks and you just live off the
But
dividends.
I think the typical person signs away a certain number of their hours
Mm-hmm.
where they are doing the job of a corporation, for
They
example.
provided something of value
They're
to a
providing
corporation.
a
They're
service,
paid
right? They're
in
using their
exchange.
body to do that,
Okay. Maybe, or they're using their brain, but that doesn't take
or their
bodily
brain.
autonomy. You get to choose
You have to
how.
be somewhere, right?
Well, you have to be somewhere. That's not bodily autonomy. Bodily autonomy is literally inside your skin. Your job suggesting that you carry boxes is not against your bodily autonomy. If they forced you to carry the boxes, and you couldn't avoid it and you couldn't quit and you had no options, that's a bodily autonomy issue. Women don't get to choose to carry the baby in their arm. It's exactly where it is. They don't get to choose to
Well,
have the baby for
they do
12
get to choose
months.
that.
I mean, they get to choose where they carry a fetus. It's pretty much in the same place
I
all
mean,
the
it's
time.
not about where.
I mean,
But it's about whether they do or not,
whether they do or
right?
not, because that is they get to
You
choose
can do
what their body
abortion,
does.
right?
Right.
All I'm
Um,
saying is that I want it to be consistent. If the choice is not made in the act of sex,
you're
then as a father of a child, I should be allowed to opt out in the same way that a woman is.
and I am
If
okay. I'm agreeing with you there. You
Well,
can
there you
sign
go.
away your rights.
If anyone disagrees with that, then my position would be then the choice is made during sex.
Okay. Can I tell you something that is I think crazy?
Go ahead.
You just said you want consistency, yet you support states' rights. States'
Of
rights are
course I
the
do.
opposite of consistency. They will all come up with their own ideas. They are not consistent.
Every
Having
state
50
is
sets of
a
laws is not consistent.
um is the European Union a country?
No, it's a union of many countries.
Uh-huh. And those countries include like France and the UK,
Mm-hmm.
um Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
How many of those would it require? How many Frances do you think you could fit inside the state of Texas?
I don't know. What, two, three?
Two or three. Yeah.
Okay.
So at the time, or rather, when I refer to France, France is a state, definitionally.
A state. Okay.
Okay? Now, France is a state. Texas is also a state,
Mm-hmm.
but we understand that differently for some reason.
Within the Union of the United States.
Uh huh. Just like
Okay. Great.
how we understand that France is a
Does
part of the European Union.
okay. Does
So,
Texas use the same legal tender and language as Louisiana? Yes.
yes, does
Okay.
France use the same legal tender as the UK? Also,
Not
yes. It's called
usually.
the
Some
euro.
they're called euros now, but they still have the old stuff too, or do they all
Oh,
use the euros?
they still have the
Right.
British pound,
They still have
but
pounds. They still have francs. They still have
is the
Deutschmarks.
euro the legal tender in most of Europe?
It's accepted.
It is.
Right. So there's two sets of laws. There's two sets of different things going on. I agree that um,
If if Texas um, issued the tex as its currency, would and should it be allowed to do that? I think yes.
oh, I think that doesn't lean towards consistency. We have gotten so far off topic. That doesn't lead towards consistency. I'm sorry I brought it up. We can discuss that at a different time. Consistency versus freedom. I recognize that I have an issue here. I have uh, I'm being on both sides here. I'm being inconsistent with pushing for freedom, but then also saying, no, you can't do these things. Let's get it back to abortion for the now, and then
Sure.
because we've gone off on to states' rights. I'm probably gonna clip that out of the video though. But okay. Shit, where did we leave off? We're talking about
I
abortions. We're
think we
not.
might be done with this one.
We might be done with this one
Um,
because that's how we moved on. Is okay. I'm okay with parental men giving up the parental rights. Seems fine to me.
okay.
I'm all right with every state doing
Then
that.
I will. I
I
will
don't love
say that
yeah. Okay.
at the very least, your conception of this is consistent. That
Okay.
uh, all I'm asking for is consistency, right?
Okay.
I'm asking for if the decision to have a child is not made during the act of sex, if it's made after that, then that should be true for the man and the woman.
Okay.
As it stands in at least some states, I know that if you are a woman and you conceive a child with a man,
Mm-hmm.
um, you can sue that man, regardless of whether he wants the child or not, for child support. I would
Yes.
say that should not be possible.
Okay.
I would say that it's all or it's nothing.
Okay.
Is either the consent to have a child
Mm-hmm.
is made at the act of conception, or both parties can choose not to have the child or to support the child at some point in the future.
Okay. And I don't mind having the freedom to make those choices.
Okay.
If the Florida legislature prevents all
All I'm asking
abortions
for
after
is
6 weeks,
consistency there.
okay,
Right?
I don't mind
That's my stance on
that.
abortion.
Okay, that's your stance on abortion. Is the Florida legislature, the Republicans, doing a bad thing here? I know what your stance is, I guess. So I have your stance, I have my stance, and we have the Florida legislature stance, who doesn't agree with either one of us.
Yeah, it doesn't agree with either one of us. In Florida,
Mm-hmm.
here's what I'll ask is which I'm sure will result in more googling. In Florida, are you able to sue for child support if the guy doesn't want the kid?
I don't
Like, does
know.
signing away the parental
Does that
rights
make a
waive?
difference
Yes, it does.
in
Because
whether or not a woman
one of
has abortion?
those would be consistent with what I've told you about what I think about abortion.
Okay. If everything comes out the way you want it, let's say the laws agree with you and you're allowed to do the abandoning of child responsibility. If that's acceptable, if that's the law of the land, is the 6 week ban acceptable?
Yes. However, if the law of land is if you conceive a child with a woman and she keeps it and you are now responsible for child support for 18 years, then not only should it be banned to after 6 weeks, but it should be banned for everything after conception.
Why would you take away a woman's right to choose?
I haven't.
You just said that it was banned all the time.
Uh-huh.
So women don't get to have any abortions. None.
Nope.
Because
Not if the
zero.
male is responsible
Why
for the
why are
financial
you
cost
bringing in
after.
extra issues?
I'm
What is
not.
that got? You're no. I'm failing to find an analogy here, but the male parental rights, the child support, have absolutely fuck all to do with a woman's right to choose an abortion. They don't have anything to do with it. They're an after fact. They're they're an insurance claim when we're in the middle of a car wreck. Yeah, sometime in the future we'll get to that. But right now, we just ran into somebody. Things happened. That's a terrible analogy, and I take it back. The
Very
things you're
well.
talking
I
about,
was about to question you,
the
but
things you are talking about, have fuck all to do with the woman choosing to have an abortion. It has nothing to do with it. She doesn't want this thing growing inside her. She has bodily autonomy. She can choose to get rid of it, or she can choose to keep it.
you have started
That's it. That's all there
no,
is. There is nothing else. There is nothing else. There is
you
no.
have started the decision tree at the wrong point.
I'm suggesting you're starting the decision tree way fucking late. But go on.
The fuck? No, I'm starting the decision
You're
tree
talking about
early.
child support,
Uh-huh.
which is after children are born.
Right, because the male
You're
decision
late.
tree is, do I sleep with this girl or not? And then, if I do, and it results in a child being conceived, I am now on the hook for 18 years, regardless of any decision that I make from this point forward. So, the decision to sleep with the girl is the end of the decision tree. You're
The
starting your
beginning of
decision
this
tree
decision tree.
after that.
I'm starting my decision tree at the woman who has to make a choice. She can, in fact, yes, consent and make a decision to have sex. And then she can
Uh-huh.
consent later to having an abortion. And then she can consent later to not having one. And then she can consent later and make a decision on whether or not she wants this guy to have parental rights.
Okay, so
Each
you've
of these is
identified
separate. You are
four
combining them. I'm separating them.
you have identified four decisions in decision tree for a woman.
Yes,
From
at
the point of
separate
having sex
points. Yes, that's a
to
decision tree.
conceiving a child or
That
to birthing a child,
completely
right?
separate decision tree.
Okay. Do
Separating
the
them.
same decision tree for a guy.
Okay, he has the decision to try and have sex with a woman. Great. He has the decision to support her financially if she chooses to.
Does he?
I would want him to, yes. If the guy, I just agreed with you that they should be able to sign away all the rights. So that is a
Is
decision that the
he
guy will have to make. I want each state to have the exact same laws on that because that would be consistent. I want every single state in the country to have that same requirement. Hey, if you want to see the child, you must pay child support. If you want to be a part of their life, you must pay child support. If you do not want to pay child support, and you absolutely do not, when you refuse it, then you sign away your rights. This is a stranger to you. This human being that will be born is now a stranger to you.
Uh-huh.
The end. That is a
Okay.
decision that the guy get to make. I'm all
So
right with
the
guys
decision
making that
tree
decision.
is ended at having sex, and then the next one is, do you want to be a part of this child's life or not?
Yes. What other decision trees would a man have? They're not
That's it.
carrying around a thing in their belly.
I'm just trying to get you on board for if you want abortion. Also, what we should have is the right to opt out for a father in all states.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
What do you mean?
Absolutely not. You don't get to tell other people what to do with their bodies.
What,
That's it. That's all there is. There is no
do
other
you,
option. There's no other. You're gonna give me 17 other options. I'm gonna keep coming back to this one point. You don't get to tell other people what to do with
I
that
don't think
with
you
that
understood what
choice.
I just said then.
Okay. What are you getting at?
I said in all states,
Uh-huh.
if you conceive a child with a woman,
Uh-huh.
you should have the right to opt out of fatherhood.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm aboard. Yes, great.
Okay, okay.
I thought you said the men would get a vote in whether or not she has the abortion.
No, no, not at all.
Okay, so hypothetically, guy says, "I really would like you to keep this baby," and the woman says, "Absolutely not." Does he have any say, any authority? Because I'm saying no, he doesn't have any authority in that. Are you saying he does, or is this an issue that doesn't matter?
I would say that unfortunately he doesn't, which really actually sucks for him. Um, I mean, that's a different question.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
The answer is sucks, but she's not going to keep it. It's her choice.
Right. That's
Um,
her choice. Right. Great. And why would the Florida legislature limit women's choices? This is why I call it anti-freedom.
does the and now we're going in circles. Um,
I know.
does the Florida legislature also require men to support children that they don't want?
The hell does that have to do with anything? I said I like waffles, and you asked me why I hate pancakes. It's a completely different discussion.
No, that
Yes.
it's all related. It's all related to the decision
Waffles and
tree that we
pancakes are
talked about.
related to each other. I make them out of the same stuff. Yes, abortion
You are
debates do have things in common with child support. I agree. They are similar. Waffles and pancakes. But if I say I like waffles and you say I hate pancakes, I'll be like, were you not listening? Was this not a
it's a matter of principle, right? It's does this law have a direct impact on male autonomy?
no?
No, it doesn't.
No, I don't think so.
But I think that
It has a direct effect on female autonomy.
it does, except that I think that these impacts have to be proportional.
Right.
So so in a state like North Carolina, which we
Mm-hmm.
just read about,
Mm-hmm.
then I'd be all for this bill. In fact, I'd say do an abortion wherever you want if it
Okay.
was North Carolina, right? But laws don't just have an impact on the one thing that they're trying to address. It's like a
Ramifications, echoes, after effects. I accept that.
yeah.
I recognize that.
Have you ever played the game Democracy?
No, I don't think so.
Great game. And actually, you would like it a lot. I
Okay.
think.
Okay.
I would actually. You know what? I would watch a stream of
Of
you playing
of us
Democracy.
playing democracy. That's a
Um,
thing that could happen. Okay.
it's like $20 on Steam. Um, there's a lot of mods for it and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you make a choice in Democracy,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a certain amount of like political power to spend and whatnot. You make a change, whether it's like the tax code or you you criminalize a certain thing,
Mm-hmm.
or you institute this social program, or you uh, introduce tax shelters for this thing,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it has an impact that impacts everything else.
Afterward,
So
sure.
like if you get really tough on crime in one sector, uh, it has an impact on how your social programs work,
Mm-hmm.
and it also increases the cost of your prisons, right?
Okay.
Because you got tough on crime, so your prisons now have to hold more people, which increases your costs because you're going to have more guards and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a neural network.
Okay. Actions have
Um,
consequences. Okay. Choices end up having ramifications afterward. Okay.
right. And what I would say is that when I hear you talk about stuff like this,
Mm-hmm.
is you are focused very specifically on who it directly impacts.
Uh-huh.
Whereas for me, I'm looking at the broader picture.
What difference does the broader picture have if you're taking away women's rights? How? How? You're saying the ends are justifying these means. Is that not what you're saying? The ends, this broader picture, is good, and the means of taking away women's rights is unpleasant, but that's what we have to do. Is that not what you just said?
Mm. close, but no.
Okay.
Because you know what my position is here.
I know what your personal position is, but I can't fathom why you would support the Florida legislator pushing a 6-week ban. At 7 weeks, it's no longer her choice. She does not have a choice.
My support or lack of support of the Florida legislature
Mhm.
is contingent on the child support laws in Florida, as I've already told you.
Why? You've said that, and you've brought it up several times, and I don't comprehend it. I cannot comprehend
Because
why you would do
I
such
am
a thing.
looking at the bigger picture and what is a consistent view. If it is required that you pay child support in Florida,
Mhm.
then abortion should not be legal. If you can sign away parental rights in Florida and not be responsible for child support, then abortion should be legal up to whenever. That is my stance.
What? I'm thoroughly baffled. I'm writing this down so that I can look at it and make sure I didn't hear you backward. You didn't get those two backwards. You didn't swap those two.
No. No, I did not.
Abortion should only be legal if men are allowed to sign away their rights.
Yep.
If men are not allowed to sign away their rights. This is okay. All right. This is a equal both sides thing? Is that what you're coming at? Is that how you're getting here?
Yep.
If they outlawed it completely, Ron DeSantis coming out, hot swinging, and says 6 weeks is even too long, zero abortions, it's illegal.
Uh-huh.
You would want him to follow that up with, men are not allowed to sign away their rights.
Correct.
Why? We're coming at it from such different angles. I have difficulty even putting myself in your shoes. I'm trying to put yourself. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm bending my own brain to get into your shoes, and
Exercise is important.
having a very difficult time
You're
doing
doing
so.
some mental yoga.
I'm doing some mental yoga. I am bending myself into your shape, and it's very difficult. I
It's
don't.
okay.
This is
You break me sometimes too, so.
okay. I think you're comparing waffles to pancakes, and there's no good reason to do so.
I think that if you look at it from where I'm looking at it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at a pair of decision trees.
Yeah, I think you're ends. You've got the
What?
ends. You've got the ends, and you are accepting these means.
Yes.
Okay, you've got the ends. The ends are equality between the two genders here,
Uh-huh.
and the means by which we get that equality is the Florida legislature.
Yeah, my means is all or nothing.
Okay.
Right? It's either the decision is made at the act of conception or it's not.
Okay, all
For
or nothing.
both
Okay.
genders.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying is I don't have to agree with the Florida decision, but I mean my preference is the nothing, right? It's
All abortion
do what you
rights,
want.
and you get the
You have all abortion rights and also
the ability to sign away rights.
exactly.
I'm on board for that system as well,
Okay.
which means that the Florida legislature is doing a bad job with their 6-week
It
ban.
just
So
all
their
it means is
means.
that the Florida legislature is becoming if Florida requires child support laws or requires child support regardless of the man's choice, all it means is that Florida is becoming more consistent with.
I can't even follow you there. If those two things that you mentioned,
Mhm.
men's ability to sign away their rights and women's choice to uh, have an abortion, those are two separate decisions that do not have to touch each other. But you are equating them together, and I think that's an incorrect way to uh,
I
make
am
these
equating them
decisions.
because the impetus for the decision is made together.
I recognize that the act of sex generally has two people involved. And
In general,
those
yeah.
generally, most of the time, that's what we want, is those two people to be involved. But whether or not to carry a baby has nothing to do with the dude. He can leave and never see them again. And this Florida legislature is taking away women's rights. They're being anti-freedom towards these women. They're taking away the choices. They're taking away the rights. They're taking away their ability to make decisions because they think they know better. They think they know. This Florida
Does
legislature
does the
needs to
guy in
comprehend.
this scenario,
Mhm.
does the guy in this case, after 6 weeks, is he now responsible for supporting that child for 18 years?
That is a completely different subject. That is a completely different question.
It's
We are
not.
talking about waffles, and you just brought up
I'm
pancakes.
I'm looking at the big picture.
Well,
That
big picture, pancakes and waffles are made out of the same material. I,
you're looking at a
I'm
less than 1 year time frame, and I'm looking at a 20-year time frame.
great. Different subjects, different
It maybe, but
decisions,
I
different
it's the
topics.
same subject, but you're saying within a certain amount of time we should only prioritize one person's desires over another's, and it's because that one person is bearing that child.
Right. That makes
I
them
I
the
I get
more
it.
important person in this
I get
situation.
it. All
Okay.
I'm saying is, if you are in favor of abortion
Uh-huh.
at any week,
Great.
then up until whatever week that you're in favor of,
Hmm.
the man should also be able to opt out of parental rights to be consistent.
Waffles.
Is no.
You're bringing up a completely different issue. You're bringing up a monetary issue for the next 18 years. Yes, that's an issue. That's important.
I
And
am
it
bringing up
has
an
stuff to do with
issue
this.
that
But it's not to do with this pancake.
is a part of the decision tree, and this is the only part of the decision tree that is um how do I say it? The only part of the decision tree that is mutual for the man and the woman. It's the last. It's the common denominator. The only one. The only part of the decision tree. So I've already proposed to you
Hmm.
a solution that is agreeable.
Hmm.
The Florida legislature, and I also described a solution that you don't find agreeable. The Florida legislature is going towards the one that you don't find agreeable.
The Florida legislature taking people's rights and choices away is what I don't find agreeable.
That's not how it works. No.
That Are you saying that's
It's
not what they're doing?
no. I'm saying people that make decisions
Hmm.
are making decisions, and they have consequences for those decisions.
Okay. And if the government limits your decisions, you find that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. I recognize that the government can make some decisions punishable. I mean, killing people is a bad thing,
Uh
but
huh.
this is not killing people. And again, we've arrived at the very beginning of this looping, ever circular conversation. Because it is always a circular conversation. That's why everybody's been arguing about the same damn issue since the fucking 1800s.
Hey, I have given you my position. I
I've
have two possible outcomes for it.
I agree with
It's
your
either abortion
situation.
and fathers are always required to support their children, or excuse me, it's no abortion and fathers are always required to support their children, or abortion and fathers can opt out.
I agree with that second one. I'm fine with that. But
Well,
okay,
then there
and
you go.
then we need to move on and quit talking about the Florida legislature.
Just
And that's why I keep coming back to this: is the Florida legislature doing something bad? I would say yes. You would
all I
say that they're
want is
not doing
consistency.
either one of those two things. Okay,
I
we've
would say
been here.
that if the Florida legislature is requiring that fathers also are responsible for their children,
Okay,
then they're not going far enough.
okay, we're gonna stop looping around and around.
All right.
Sorry, I'm trying to. This is it's
I
a
want
round. It's a ball. It's
one
a
or the other.
round situation. It's a round issue, and every time one of us pushes on the ball, it moves, and then you push on the ball and it moves, and it never seems to sit flat because it's round. It's a ball.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Fuck abortion. Next topic.
okay. Marjorie Taylor Greene defends alleged Pentagon leaker as white male Christian.
Yep.
Jack Texiera arrested by FBI in his home, Massachusetts.
I'm gonna tell you this.
I just wanted to see her little.
This is the
tweet right
last
here.
time I ever want to see
Okay.
Marjorie Taylor Greene's name on my screen
MTG?
while we're streaming.
Okay, you don't like her?
I fucking hate this bitch.
I do too.
I fucking hate her. I can't stand any. I will never defend her. This is
Okay.
you bashing me over the
Okay.
head with
Okay.
a real retard
I
that
am
managed to make it into the Senate
closing
or
it
the
and
House or whatever.
not bringing it.
Thank you. I never want to hear about her.
Okay.
And the guy that
But
leaked
if
that
sh-
shit
Yeah.
is going to be in Fort Leavenworth
Let's
for probably 50 years.
not talk
and he
about
is
her,
going
then.
to be someone's bitch.
So he did a bad thing and he's punished for it. Why do I bring her up?
Because you think it's funny and you
Because
think that it's okay.
Because
I mean,
she's a Republican
why do you
person
bring her up? Yes,
she's called
she
conservative,
is.
and she's bad. She is doing the opposite of conservatism, yet she is supported by conservatives. She's doing the opposite of
I
conservatism.
mean, if this was 4 years ago and I was bringing up AOC not understanding what a garbage disposal is, you'd be like, why the fuck are we talking about her?
The garbage disposal doesn't have anything to do with literal government policy.
You know what I'm trying to say here.
Okay.
Is
If she doesn't know what the economy means, I think you're better off bringing her up. I accept that. If she is pushing for a certain bill or law, or suggesting that, what's the other leaker? What was that? The other person who did leaks? Snowden, or things. If she's suggesting certain things like
Assange.
that, yeah, if she's pushing for those things, then I think it's acceptable for you to bring her up. I don't bring up MTG's workout regimen. I only bring her up when she talks about the government.
I hate talking about MTG.
Okay.
I don't like her in the first place.
Okay.
I hate her.
Okay.
I like how you closed tabs.
I'm just no. Those were the last two discussions we had.
But no,
I closed her tab.
I do not appreciate MTG in just about any way.
I won't bring up her tweets, but if she actually pushes for a policy, can I bring her up?
If you want to discuss the merits of the policy, yes.
Okay.
But I will never. You already know I will never defend MTG.
I know
herself.
you won't.
So,
I don't think you like her. I know you don't like her. I think she's a bad person, but she's on your team. Bring the worst leftist.
I don't care. She's on my team.
Bring the worst leftist. Bring him. Bring up the AOC, and I will defend her policies. I will not defend her.
We're going to be reading some Daily
potting
Mail
a plant.
articles.
Daily Mail articles about actual people doing actual policies. Because if you want to just complain about AOC dancing one time when she was in college, it's not policy. If you want to complain about her not knowing what a garbage disposal is, not policy. You want to complain about Nancy Pelosi having ice cream in her freezer, not policy. But if you want to discuss AOC pushing for a certain bill to be passed, I'm on board. And I might not even be on board with her pushing the bill. Um, I think a person leaking government information on a Minecraft forum and MTG supporting it is policy or policy adjacent. I'll say that. If you want to talk about the free ice cream that Nancy Pelosi has in her freezer because she's corrupt, that's policy adjacent. I'm on board. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that guy is a stupid asshole.
Yes.
Um, he's 21. He's a member of the National Guard.
Okay.
And
He did a bad thing. He did a crime. We shouldn't accept
he's
it.
a real retard.
Yes.
That's what he is.
Okay.
And he will be someone's bitch in Fort Leavenworth for about 50 years.
And he's harmed our
Probably.
country.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that is why we're punishing him. I'm on board for punishing people who harm the country.
Guy's a fucking moron, and he deserves whatever he gets.
Okay. Montana lawmakers vote to completely ban TikTok in the state. How do you ban an app? I don't know. What do you think about banning specific apps, state by state?
I think that the state
We have talked about states' rights today.
is fine to do that. I mean, it's their right. Yeah.
Okay. They can choose a specific app because it is harmful and Chinese spyware. Let's just go full bore with it. TikTok is Chinese spyware. If they believe that, if they have seen evidence that it is, they can vote to prevent people in their state from using it.
Maybe. I think it's not a question of are they preventing people in their state from using it? Are they preventing the app from operating in their state? Which there is a difference.
Okay. I can see the difference between those two. Yes.
Um, and again, as I've discussed, I hate TikTok. And everything that seeks to emulate it.
Well, let's just say it's
The
Facebook
shorts.
then. No, you're complaining about the structure in which the TikTok brings this information. That is a different situation than the government saying, "Hey, this thing is giving spying for somebody, and we are stopping you from using it." If it were Facebook or a Chinese version of Facebook, imagine there's a Chinese version of Facebook. I know there is one, right? But does the Montana legislature have the right to prevent, what was it, not people from using it, but they have the right to prevent it from being offered in their state?
I cannot argue this point
Okay.
reasonably.
Okay.
I think not reasonably. In a I can't argue this point honestly.
Okay.
I would say
Because you hate TikTok in its structure so much that
I don't like shorts.
okay.
I think they are bad for people.
Build a different hypothetical then. Facebook exists. We know what Facebook is. We know how it works. We all of our grandparents are on it. The Montana State House just said no more Facebook. It sells its information to a company. It gives its direct information directly to Mark Zuckerberg, who is using it to sell things and or give information to a foreign government? Does the Montana State House have the right? What do they have? What power do you and I want the government to have over a Facebook?
The Montana state government does have the right, yes,
Okay,
to
so
ban Facebook if they want to.
okay, so what form
Um,
does that take? Does that mean the people can't download it? The people can't use it? If I drive through Montana, do I have to just not bring it up on my phone?
it takes the same form as sports betting apps currently have. Um, Sports betting is only currently available in certain states. And so when you want to do sports betting,
Mm-hmm.
like for example, I have a FanDuel account.
Okay, this is a
Um,
direction I've never thought about before. Please enlighten me.
so I'm sure that our viewers already know. I live in California
Mm-hmm.
right now. Um, I cannot do sports betting in California, which means that when I log into my FanDuel account,
Mm-hmm.
it verifies what state I'm in, and if I'm in California, which I am,
Mm-hmm.
I actually cannot place bets on sports.
Okay.
When I go home to visit
Mm-hmm.
my family is in a state that does allow that sports betting.
Okay.
So when I do that, I am now allowed to bet on sports.
Okay. Though the app remains on your phone, and you could, if you
The
were
app is still on my
a
phone.
bad person, if you were a criminal, but you're not. But if you were, you could just open it anytime you want. And would it work?
No, no, because whenever I open it up,
Mm-hmm.
it verifies my location.
Okay. Okay.
With Facebook or with TikTok, if you're in Missouri,
Mm-hmm.
this would require TikTok to verify your location before allowing you access, for
Okay.
example. It's not an overly intensive functionality.
No, it's not. Your
Um,
phone knows exactly where you are. It
exactly.
seems
Your phone knows where
entirely
you are.
possible. Mm-hmm.
You can also actually phone VPNs caused FanDuel, and I'm sure that other gambling sites are as well. FanDuel is the only one to know.
Okay.
Um, it actually requires Wi-Fi access so that
Mm.
it can verify the location of the Wi-Fi points around you.
That makes sense.
And so if you use a VPN, you actually still can't sports bet in California because the Wi-Fi access points around you are all located in California,
Okay.
and it knows you're in California.
So it's technically possible to set out a geographic area where you cannot get to a certain app. That is
Yes,
one of the issues that I had with this entire idea. Is like, could you even do such a thing?
you can,
You can.
and it's very possible. It's very easy.
Okay. Now, is that censorship?
No,
No. Preventing anyone within the state of Montana from accessing TikTok is not censorship.
I don't think so. I think that you're a state of Montana.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what do we define? Well, actually, I will walk my previous answer back.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
Maybe. Okay.
rather than no. What do you define as censorship? Um, should children be exposed to pornography? And if they are, if they are not allowed to be exposed to pornography, is that censorship?
Yes.
Okay, then yes, Montana is
I mean,
engaging in censorship.
TV movies censor the naughty bits, or they chop them out of the movies, or they put the things over it so you can't see, or a black bar, or the little things over the faces. You ever watch Cops or Jerry Springer, and they sometimes cover the faces? That is censorship. Um, they aren't allowed to show certain things at certain times of day because of the people who might be watching. That is censorship. I generally agree with some forms of it. Um, the censorship, the suppression or prohibition of any parts of books, films, news, etc., that are considered obscene, politically unacceptable, or a threat to security. So
So
this is,
censorship is correct in some cases.
it can be correct, yes. So I would say this is censorship because it is a prohibition because of a threat to security. That is their explanation, is it not?
Okay.
We are prohibiting
Did you?
this because it
So
is a threat to security.
here's why I pushed back on you. Then
Okay.
is do you believe that censorship in itself is a bad thing?
No, it's a tool.
Okay.
We just have to
Just
use it
just to be
properly.
clear there,
Hmm.
because it has a negative connotation
Yes, the
when
word censorship does generally seem to be a bad idea. Lots of people will say, oh, don't censor me. Well,
right,
don't
but
censor me right
sometimes
now.
censorship has to happen,
It has to happen, and
right?
it is a
Okay.
tool that needs to be put in the right places.
So it is censorship. That's
Okay.
what it is. But
Okay, great. We got the definition
is
down.
it
Holy shit.
censorship?
We agreed on a definition.
Whoa,
Oh,
whoa, whoa,
jeez.
whoa.
No, it's great.
It is
No, I'm saying
censorship
great.
for, is it for the right reason? Is
Now,
is what we're really
now we're
debating,
getting into
right?
the politics, and now we're getting into the debate. Yes.
I don't want the negative connotation to feed into the politics of it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Um, Now for me, TikTok I think is bad, and I already told you about. I've told you this already. I don't like shorts in any form,
Hmm.
really. TikTok being the uh, driving
Hmm.
or the premier example
Because
of
they're harmful.
shorts. I think they're harmful.
You,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to sell it to me any farther. I'm on board. If you think that they are harmful, you think it should be censored. And I'm on board with you. I'm agreeing that if something is harmful, a violent murder scene from Dexter is harmful to a small child,
Yes.
and it ought to be censored from them. I'm on board with that justification and that plan. You know, do you think Montana is right to censor this? You would say yes
I would and I will. Yes.
because it's
Yes.
harmful. Okay.
Montana is censoring TikTok. I think they should also censor Facebook Shorts,
Hmm.
YouTube Shorts.
Hmm.
Um, if Vine was still around, I would say that Vine needs censoring.
Okay.
Uh,
Twitter.
it is bad for people. This very short form content
Hmm.
is it is damaging to people's um I'm struggling for
Brain.
the words for a moment.
Their attention span. They're
Attention span. Yes, thank you.
they're
Um,
incapable of holding a thought for more than 6 seconds.
right. That is what this is doing, and I can see it. Um, fuck. Uh, Without giving away my job,
Yeah, that's fine. You can skip that.
um, I work with young people, and their attention span is decreasing.
Okay. That is not a thing that I will fight you on right now. Um, I think it. I don't know if it makes a difference. I've seen some evidence to suggest that yes, short form content and Twitter's bad for us. And I hate Twitter. It's a terrible place. No one should go there. No, nothing intelligent or uh, good generally happens there. It's 99% garbage that is just drama, arguing, and nothing. Um, so I don't think it's good for people. Um, and I'm not saying that the state of Montana is wrong to censor something that it finds harmful.
I will say that it is wrong in the sense that it is not consistent, and it's not consistent in the way that I want it to be.
What is
So
consistent? What would it? What would consistency look like to you?
ban all shorts. So TikTok, Vine, um, YouTube
YouTube
Shorts,
Shorts,
Facebook Shorts.
Twitter.
How long are the videos?
Oh, I mean, it's you're limited to 128 characters, or whatever, right? Is that not a
That's been
text
expanded,
short? It's a
I
text
think.
short. It's a short text. It's a text short.
I'll keep Twitter because it's text based.
Okay.
Short videos are where I would say no.
Harming people's brains.
Is
Okay.
they are.
Okay.
They're every video is produced um to what's the word? Provoke, not provoke, but something along those lines.
It's to provoke the dopamine and put that
The dopamine hit. Yeah,
little hit in your
that's
brain.
where I was going for. Yes,
Okay.
it's not, but the word isn't
Okay.
provoke. It's to generate or to create or something like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Um, yes. Every video is designed to provoke a dopamine hit.
Okay. Does Montana
And
have the right to censor other things that cause dopamine hits? Loot boxes from an online shooter. Do they have the right to
yes,
do that?
and
Okay.
loot boxes themselves should be banned entirely.
Okay. Sports betting. You brought it up earlier. Does the state have the right? Does California have the right to curtail that sports betting?
Yes, they do.
Okay. I'm just curious. I'm
Do
not
I?
taking a side on this yet. I'm just curious. Um,
Okay.
do they have the right to uh, censor other things that they find harmful?
Yes.
Okay. And you're okay with that being state by state?
Uh-huh.
If you drive out of Montana to who do they border? Oh, Idaho. Um, you're okay with Idaho allowing sports betting and shorts and I don't know, Facebook. But Idaho doesn't like YouTube shorts, so YouTube shorts are banned in Idaho, but both of them are. This is the inconsistency that I'm talking about. When you say
So
consistency, it makes me confused and wonder because we said the word consistency a few times today. To me, it seems inconsistent to allow a thing in Montana but not allow it in Idaho, or vice versa. That seems
this is
inconsistent.
why I brought up the EU and France and UK.
It's terribly inconsistent, all of them.
They are internally consistent.
I
So,
can't even
or
imagine
or
how.
actually, no, they're not, because they're also fucked up.
Right.
The U.S. is fucked up.
Yes.
Um,
Everybody's fucked up and everybody sucks. I agree.
I would say that a movement towards consistency for each state is a
Hmm.
good idea. Um,
Okay. But not federally. This is why I probe Republican and conservative minds because they interest me.
Federally, no,
No.
because what is the federal government's job?
What if their argument is consistency? What if Joe Biden says, I
No,
want to
we have 50.
ban TikTok?
Whoa. No, we have 50 countries that comprise the United States.
Uh huh. And that seems awfully
Right?
inconsistent.
No, each of those 50 countries should have the ability to govern themselves, right?
To some extent.
They should. Just like France should be able to govern itself, and the UK should be able to govern itself, and Belgium should be able to govern itself, Spain should be able to govern itself.
To an extent, yes. I would say
They all
France and
have,
Spain has more authority and consistency than Nebraska and Montana.
only because the United States, which is the EU
Hmm. Of the West.
in
We're the EU
of
of
the
the West.
West,
Okay.
is interfering with those states' ability to govern themselves.
And I would
The
accept that
federal government,
interference. I accept that interference.
the federal government really should only be responsible for our defense. So it's the 50 states, and those 50 states are their own countries, and we pool our resources to pay for our defense.
I hate that idea. Why do I hate that idea? Because I think it would lead to different human rights. The state of California just voted to allow slavery. I think that's a bad idea. I don't respect that. I don't think that we should allow that. And then the state of Montana votes for their own currency. Terrible idea. The state of Texas sets up their own gun laws, and that's I think also a bad idea. And this is a very large discussion that we could get into, and I would love to talk to you about it, but I have to go in about 5 minutes.
Oh, it's our good
It's our
friend
friend.
Nick.
Yeah, you want to ban him real quick?
I remember him.
Is that a thing?
Hi, Nick.
No,
I actually don't have mod powers in your
no,
Discord,
neither do I.
or your YouTube, so
I don't know how to do it. I'll just have to figure out.
hate speech, yeah.
Yeah.
His name is
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna ban him real quick. So deleted the message. Hey, look at me. I'm a YouTuber now. All right. Anyway.
Wait. I have something to say to Nick.
No, we're not talking to people. You can type it. Maybe. Or not. I don't care. But I just don't want to. Don't feed the trolls, man.
Nick, you're a piece of shit. Your life has amounted to nothing. It will never amount to anything. And your greatest achievement will be trolling on a 17 subscribers YouTube panel.
Because he can't get his own 17 subscribers. That's right.
Because you can't get your own 17 subscribers. You're trash. My guy. Go work out. Go lift. Do some cardio. Stop eating so much. Don't be a fat fuck. And look good. And go out and live a real life. And find a woman to marry. And marry her and have children. And raise them responsibly. Right now, you are a huge piece of shit. But you can evolve.
You can be better.
You
I agree.
You cannot
you should
be
be
a
better.
huge piece of shit.
Be better. You can do it. I believe in you.
Good luck. And I wish you the best. But until you fix yourself, fuck off. Because you're a big fucking retard.
Okay.
Bye.
I deleted his message from the thing. I would love to talk to you about states' rights in the future. Not today. I have a place to be today. But yeah, states' rights. We should discuss that at some point in the future. Because I think we have such a vast difference between what we think the states ought to be doing, what they should be doing. And think it could be interesting.
Yes. You know I'll win, right?
If you say so. I mean, you're gonna say that you won, yet I'm gonna have all these definitions and ideas on screen. And I will bring up any ideas that you have or any drawings or maps that you want. States' rights, I think. Um, what would you? Can you give me a quick synopsis of what you would say to uh, an increase in states' rights? One state votes for slavery. One state votes for to ban gay marriage. One state votes for unrestricted gun ownership and to any type of firearm. There's a guy driving around a tank. What do you support that idea?
I think you've proposed a number of scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if one state were to allow all of those things, should they be allowed? Um, um, Not necessarily.
Okay.
However, should some of them be? Probably. Yeah.
Okay. Which is why I suggest that a federal government has to be over top of them, because we don't want a specific state to vote to take away the rights from the people. Those are still Americans. They still should have rights.
I disagree.
No, you disagree. Okay, the state of Wyoming takes away First Amendment rights. You're fine with that because they voted
Okay.
for it. That's fine.
No,
Okay.
we are talking about the United States, which we have a constitution for.
Mm-hmm. Shit. Okay. That's
However,
okay.
the constitution is the fundamental point where everything starts. So
Okay.
you violate the constitution of the federal government? No. However, there are a lot of things I think that the federal government is currently overreaching on.
Okay. Make a
Um,
list. I really do have to go. I'm getting all the angry texts now. Okay. I do have to go. I have to end here. But I would love to talk to you about states' rights in the future.
all right,
And
sounds good.
that's the questions I'm going to bring up to you. One state says this is acceptable. One state says this isn't. One state passes a wild law that nobody else has, and I'm going to equate it all back to human rights. So we can prepare in the future for that.
Fair enough. Put it
Okay?
in the stream links
Yeah,
chat.
yeah, I sure will. All right, I appreciate talking to you. Always super fun. Always a good time. If you are watching and you like what we're doing, then watch more. Yeah, click on the links. Watch the YouTube videos, and then click on the likes and stuff like that. And that is a stream.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
And if your name is Nick, fuck off.
Everybody have a good day, except Nick. Goodbye.